The series begins with a high school girl named G, who stands in front of her new school. As soon as she enters, she notices that all the students there seem wealthy. She is excited about her new school because it looks grand and luxurious. She tells herself that this is a fresh start for her, and she is determined not to cause any trouble. We soon learn that G transferred from her previous school because she was a troublemaker who frequently got into conflicts. She walks around the school until she reaches the receptionist and asks for the location of Section A, the class she is assigned to. While waiting, she notices a female student looking at her with disgust. This makes her wonder why, but she decides not to dwell on it. Following the receptionist's directions, G arrives at the designated location and is shocked to find an old, run-down building, completely different from the other elegant school buildings. However, she convinces herself that appearances don't matter as long as the inside is decent. But as soon as she steps in, she is taken aback by how dirty and disorganized the place is. She continues walking until she comes across a group of male students. She asks if this is Section A, and one of them, named Kefir, responds by telling her she is in the wrong place. G insists that the receptionist directed her there, but Kefir rudely tells her to leave immediately. Frustrated by his attitude, she walks away, thinking to herself how much she wanted to shove the lollipop she was holding down his throat. However, she calms herself and heads toward another building, which looks clean and well-maintained. She enters a classroom and takes a seat at a desk. Soon after, a girl named Rocky, the class president, approaches her and introduces herself. G does the same, mentioning that she is new to the school, but when Rocky checks G's paperwork, she realizes that G is not registered in this class, but rather in another classroom in Section A. She then gives G the correct directions. At that moment, G realizes that Kefir tricked her. Feeling irritated, she heads back to Section A. However, once there, she discovers that the section has only one classroom, which consists entirely of male students. Still, she doesn't let it bother her. She introduces herself to the teacher and the class. Kefir, as the class leader, is supposed to welcome her, but instead, he mocks her, making the other students laugh at her. G doesn't stay silent. She fires back, making fun of him as well. From that moment, G starts experiencing harassment from her classmates. Every time she tries to sit at a desk, the students stop her. When she finally manages to sit somewhere, they start throwing paper balls at her while laughing. She yells at them to stop, but they ignore her. The bullying continues until the lesson ends, and G leaves the classroom annoyed. She heads to the school cafeteria, where she meets Rocky, who is sitting with a group of girls. Rocky asks her how things went in Section A, but G hides the truth and tells her that everyone welcomed her warmly. The girls don't seem to believe her, as they know that all the students in Section A are troublemakers. At that moment, a student named Iris speaks up, saying that Section A is a perfect place for G. It becomes clear that G and Iris know each other, but G stays silent, not responding to him. Instead, she leaves the cafeteria and returns to Section A. Once back, she looks for a clean spot to eat, but as soon as she finds a suitable place and takes out her food, the other students take it from her. One of them, named Felix, approaches her and apologizes for what his classmates did. He warns her not to bring out food in front of them again because none of the students in Section A are allowed to enter the cafeteria or buy food from it. G is surprised by this, so she pulls out more food from her bag. Felix quickly snatches it from her and reminds her of his warning before walking away. Later, while G is in the classroom, a female teacher enters but refuses to start the lesson because the class is filthy. She tells them that if she finds the classroom in the same condition during the next lesson, she won't teach them for the rest of the year. Then, she leaves. G, feeling determined, tries to encourage her classmates to clean the classroom. But to her shock, they all walk out and lock the door behind her, leaving her alone to clean the mess. She yells at them to help her, but they ignore her, laughing at her from the classroom window. With no other choice, G cleans the classroom by herself, fuming with frustration. At the end of her first day, she returns home, where we learn that she lives with her uncle's wife. When her aunt asks her about her first day at the new school, G hides everything that happened and tells her it was a great day. Her aunt then reminds her of the promise she made, and G reassures her that she hasn't forgotten. She will not cause trouble with anyone. The next day at school, G is surprised when Kefir hands her a piece of paper with a list of food items that he and the other students like, instructing her to buy them from the cafeteria. G refuses, telling him that she is not their servant. Kefir responds by saying that he doesn't like having her in the class, and if she wants to stay, she must obey his orders. G gets angry and firmly tells Kefir that she won't do what he asked. She also bluntly tells him that from the first moment she saw him, she wanted to punch him. Of course, Kefir doesn't like her attitude and is about to start a fight with her, but their teacher enters the classroom, interrupting them. During lunchtime, a student named Yuri arrives, and all the boys rush toward him because he has brought plenty of food for them. However, when Yuri notices G, he becomes visibly upset. Felix informs him that G is a new student in their class. Yuri glares at G with anger before walking away without saying a word, leaving G confused by his reaction. She asks Felix about him, and he explains that Yuri had been on vacation in Japan visiting his family and had just returned. He also tells her that Yuri and Kefir are close friends. Meanwhile, Yuri goes to speak with Kefir about G, making it clear that he doesn't like having a girl in their section. Kefir explains that he had already tried to intimidate her into leaving, but she wasn't scared and stood her ground. Yuri then suggests that they keep harassing her until she gets fed up and leaves. Kefir agrees. The next morning, G has breakfast before heading to school. On her way, she runs into Angelo, her older cousin, who asks her how things are going at school. She reassures him that she's fine and then asks if he knows anything about Section A, since he was once a student at the same school. Angelo explains that Section A was created specifically for troublemakers and that once a student is transferred there, they remain in that section until they graduate. However, he also tells her that female students in Section A have a chance to transfer out if they maintain good behavior, avoid causing trouble, and achieve high grades in their subjects. After hearing this, G continues her way to school when she comes across a boy fighting 4 other boys and easily defeating them all. As soon as he sees G, he calls out to her, introducing himself as her classmate and asking if they can go to school together. G agrees, and on the way she learns that his name is Sai. Curious, she asks him why students from their section aren't allowed to enter the cafeteria. C agrees to tell her, but on one condition: she must buy him food. G agrees. C then tells her that there used to be a girl named Ella in their section, and she and Kefir were deeply in love. However, she eventually transferred to another section because she had strong connections with the school administration. After her transfer, Kefir felt like she had changed toward him for no apparent reason. One day, he saw her in the cafeteria kissing another boy. Furious, Kefir got into a fight with the boy and ended up destroying the entire cafeteria. Since then, the school administration has punished Kefir and all the students in Section A by banning them from the cafeteria completely. After their conversation, C and G arrive at school and go about their day as usual. However, at the end of the last period, G is shocked to find that her clothes have been glued to her desk. It turns out that Kefir and Yuri were behind this prank. The entire class laughs at G before leaving her behind. G calls out to C and Felix, reminding them that she always brings them food and that they can't just abandon her in this situation. Feeling guilty, Felix and C help pull her from the desk, but in the process, her clothes tear. C immediately gives her his jacket to cover herself. Furious, G storms off, searching for Kefir until she finally finds him standing with Yuri and a group of other boys. She throws C's jacket in Kefir's face, and in front of everyone, tells him that from this moment on, she won't stay silent about anything he does to her. Then, she walks away. Later, on her way home, G is accompanied by C, who gives her another jacket he had in his bag to cover her torn clothes. She thanks him and says goodbye before entering her house. Meanwhile, as C heads home, he encounters a group of boys, the same ones he fought earlier, who have returned to take revenge on him. At home, G sits down for dinner, where Iris is also present. It is revealed that Iris is actually G's younger cousin, but he clearly resents her presence in their household. Angelo notices this and gets upset when he realizes that Iris isn't giving G a ride to school in his car. He then tells him that, starting the next day, he must take G to school and ensure that she is safe from any harm. The following morning, Iris follows Angelo's orders and drives G to school. When G arrives at her classroom, Kefir once again hands her the same paper with a list of food items, along with money, expecting her to buy food for him and his friends. G snaps at him, telling him that she isn't obligated to do anything for him. She makes it clear that she is only getting the food for her friends, not for him. G goes to the cafeteria and buys all the food Kefir had requested. When she returns, everyone is thrilled by what she has done, even Kefir himself. Felix then calls G over to eat with them, making her incredibly happy. She agrees and joins them. However, Yuri is displeased by the situation and leaves angrily. Later, while they are in the classroom, their teacher calls out students' names to assess their academic levels. None of the boys answer her questions, showing their lack of interest in studies. But then, the teacher calls G's full name, revealing that her family name is the same as Iris's. Kefir immediately asks G about her relationship with Iris, and she casually responds that he is her cousin. At that moment, G notices a change in the atmosphere. Everyone in the class appears angry. It becomes evident that there is some kind of history or conflict between her classmates and Iris, but she has no idea what it is. After class, G tries to talk to any of her male classmates, but they all avoid her completely and refuse to speak with her. Meanwhile, Kefir and Yuri gather their classmates and start searching for information about G on the internet. They discover the name of her previous school and find out that she was an extreme troublemaker. They also learn that she once stabbed a male classmate with a pencil and was responsible for causing serious injuries to several students. At that moment, one of their classmates walks in, claiming to have information about G's family. He tells them that G's father has been missing for a long time and no one knows his whereabouts. He also reveals that her mother abandoned her when she was a child, remarried another man, and started a new life with him. G had been living with her grandmother all these years, but after transferring to their school, she moved in with her uncle's family. Yuri and Kefir begin to suspect that Iris purposely placed G in their section to spy on them and report back to him. When it's time to clean the classroom, the boys, as usual, leave G to do all the work by herself. Kefir tries to annoy her by overturning the trash bins and spilling garbage all over the floor. Frustrated, G retaliates by dumping stacks of paper onto the ground and refuses to clean up unless he helps her. Noticing that the situation is escalating and knowing that Kefir has a short temper and might hit G, Yuri steps in. He convinces Kefir to clean the classroom with her to avoid any problems. Kefir calms down, listens to Yuri, and helps clean up the classroom alongside G. The next day, G is in the car with Iris on the way to school when she suddenly sees C walking down the street. She asks Iris to stop the car, telling him that she wants to go to school with her classmate. As she walks with Sai, she asks him why he was absent from school. C explains that he got into another fight with the friends of the boys he had beaten up before. However, this time, the fight was much more serious, and he suffered a severe injury. Because of that, he decided to stay home and rest until he recovered. G then tells him about what happened in class and how the boys reacted when they found out that she was Iris's cousin. She asks him if he plans to avoid her like they did. C reassures her that he won't, and that she doesn't have to worry about that. They continue their way to school together, and later in the day, C takes G behind one of the buildings to witness the class president elections. However, G is shocked to discover that there is no actual election. Instead, the selection process is a physical fight between the current class president, Kefir, and another student named David, who has challenged him for the position. The winner of the fight will be the new class president. The match begins, and Kefir and David engage in a brutal battle, fiercely attacking each other. The fight is intense and violent, but in the end, Kefir emerges victorious. The students cheer for him, lift him onto their shoulders, and carry him away in celebration. G refuses to leave the scene. Instead, she approaches David and helps him get home. The next day in class, G brings food for C and David. Meanwhile, Yuri and Kefir watch her, displeased by what's happening. It becomes clear that G is getting along well with all the boys in the class, and they are starting to treat her well in return. This worries Kefir and Yuri because they don't want her to feel comfortable in their section. Just then, one of their classmates informs them that the next period is PE, and that they need to get ready to go to the gym. At the same time, Iris is sitting with his friend, who informs him that the students of Section A will be heading to the gym for their next class. While they are talking, Ella walks in and greets Iris. It's obvious that the two of them are in a romantic relationship. Iris then decides to go to the gym, using the excuse that he wants to check on his cousin, G, to make sure none of the boys in her class are bothering her. However, when he arrives, he deliberately gets too close to Ella, making it obvious that he's doing it on purpose to provoke and anger Kefir. His plan works. Kefir reaches his breaking point, furious at the scene in front of him. Determined to punish Iris, he decides to take it out on G instead. Pretending to be teaching her how to catch a ball, Kefir launches the ball at her with excessive force. It hits her directly in the face, knocking her to the ground and causing her nose to bleed. Everyone in the gym is stunned by what happened. At that moment, Kefir realizes his mistake and wants to go to G and apologize. However, he hesitates when he sees that Iris has already rushed to her side to check on her. Later, we see G at home, lying in bed. She has taken 2 days off from school to recover from her injury. Her uncle's wife enters her room, bringing her breakfast. G tells her that she wants to leave the school because she can't handle what's happening to her. She admits that she doesn't know how to deal with the students who harass her, especially since she promised not to cause any trouble. Her aunt tells her that she doesn't have to put up with the bullying in silence. She can stand up for herself without overreacting. Later, G goes out to buy some medicine, but suddenly, a group of her classmates appears in front of her. They try to grab her and force her to go with them, but G breaks free and unexpectedly finds herself in Kefir's arms. He had been standing behind her the whole time. Kefir tells her that her classmates were only trying to bring her to him. They sit together at a cafe, and G asks him what he wants from her. Instead of answering, Kefir takes out a bandage and carefully places it over her injury. After that, he orders her some ice cream. G asks him if this is his way of bribing her into forgetting what he did to her. Kefir responds by admitting that he isn't good at apologizing, but he knows that all girls love ice cream. However, G refuses to accept his gesture and walks away. But after a few steps, she turns back, grabs the ice cream, and continues on her way. The next day, G is at school and enters the bathroom. Shortly after, a group of girls follows her inside. They start talking about what happened in the gym, and one of them, named Freya, speaks badly about Ella. She calls her an untrustworthy girl, mentioning that she used to be with Kefir, but then left him to date Iris instead. As they continue talking, Freya notices that their classmate, Mika, is unusually silent and not engaging in the conversation. When Freya asks her why she's so quiet, Mika responds by saying that she thinks Ella is actually a good person and not as bad as Freya claims. Freya doesn't like Mika's response at all, but she quickly shifts the topic to G. She questions why the boys are paying attention to her, saying that she sees no reason for it, especially since G isn't even pretty. G, who had been listening to the entire conversation, gets furious when she hears Freya insulting her. She storms out of the bathroom, stands in front of Freya without saying a word, and splashes water on her. Then, G runs out, heading toward Section A. Freya and her friends immediately chase after her and catch up with her in front of Section A. At that moment, all the boys from Section A step outside to see what's happening. Additionally, Freya's male friends arrive at the scene, as well as Ella and Iris, who stand at a distance, watching the situation unfold. Freya, still humiliated, declares that G was bold enough to splash water on her and must be punished for it. However, Iris intervenes, telling Freya that G is his cousin. G, feeling victorious, stands confidently in front of Freya, assuming that Iris will defend her. But to her shock, Iris continues speaking and says that he won't defend G if she was in the wrong. Freya, now feeling smug, begins explaining the student hierarchy at their school to G. She tells her that the school is divided into 5 categories. The first category is Category A, which includes Freya, Ella, and the other elite girls standing before G. She also reveals that Iris is the leader of this category. Freya explains that Category A students are considered the best in the school, treated like kings and queens by the other students. The second category, Category B, consists of students slightly below them, who serve them in minor ways. The third category, Category C, is made up of students who are friendly and agreeable to everyone. Freya points out that Rocky, the girl who welcomed G when she accidentally entered the wrong class, is part of this group. Then, Freya moves on to Category D, which is made up entirely of boys. These boys act as enforcers for Category A students, ensuring that anyone who disrespects them is punished. Finally, Freya mentions Category E, which G already belongs to, reminding her that Category E students are the lowest-ranked students in the entire school, and no one cares about them. After finishing her explanation, Freya offers G a way out of punishment. She will forgive G only if she kneels and kisses her shoe. G, of course, refuses. Instead, she boldly tells everyone that she had been in the bathroom and overheard Freya talking badly about Ella. She also reveals that Freya insulted Ella behind her back and called her a disgrace. Freya panics because she knows that Iris will punish her for speaking badly about Ella. Desperate, she lies and denies ever saying anything bad about her. She then manipulates the situation by accusing Mika of being the one who spoke ill of Ella. The other girls who were with Freya support her lie, backing up her claim against Mika. Mika, horrified, tries to defend herself and insists to Iris that she never said anything against Ella. However, Iris ignores Mika's plea and orders the boys from Category D to punish her. The boys grab Mika and prepare to beat her in front of everyone. At that moment, a boy from Category E named Alex steps in. He attacks the Category D boys and successfully fends them off to protect Mika. It is revealed that Alex is Mika's ex-boyfriend. Now, the tension escalates. Iris and Kefir stand face to face, with Iris determined to ensure Mika is punished while Kefir opposes it. The situation explodes into a full-blown fight when Iris attacks Kefir, hitting him violently. A massive brawl breaks out among all the students. Later, Yuri and Kefir sit together, discussing what happened. Yuri points out that all their attempts to drive G out of the class have failed. He notes that instead, her classmates have started sympathizing with her and accepting her into their group. Kefir smirks and tells Yuri that he has a new plan, one that will kill two birds with one stone. He explains that he will make G fall for him, get her emotionally attached, and then cut her off completely, breaking her heart. This way, not only will he get rid of G, but he will also make Iris furious for what happened to his cousin. Yuri loves the plan and agrees to go along with it. Meanwhile, C runs up to Kefir in a panic, telling him that G is in a fight with Category D boys in the gym. Kefir rushes to the scene and arrives just in time to see G lying on the ground while one of the boys is about to strike her. Without hesitation, Kefir grabs the boy and beats him up. Then, Kefir and G stand side by side, facing off against the three remaining boys. They engage in a fierce battle, but manage to overpower their opponents. After the fight ends, both G and Kefir collapse onto the ground from exhaustion. G thanks Kefir for saving her. At that moment, C and Yuri enter the gym. Yuri approaches G and picks her up to take her to the infirmary. However, before doing so, he warns her that the school is going to investigate the fight. He then asks her to avoid mentioning Kefir's involvement because if Kefir gets into another major incident, he might be permanently expelled from the school. G agrees and promises to keep his name out of it. The next day, heavy rain pours down, causing the school administration to dismiss students early. G calls Iris, asking him to pick her up, but when she leaves the school building and waits for him outside in the rain, he never shows up. As she stands there, Yuri spots her and offers her a ride home. G, having no other choice, gets into Yuri's car, and he drives her home. Noticing that G is cold, Yuri hands her his jacket so she can warm up. Soon after, G is surprised to find that Yuri is taking her to his house. He explains that the roads to her home are completely flooded, making it impossible to get there. He offers to let her stay at his place until the weather improves, and G reluctantly agrees. G is amazed by the grandeur of Yuri's house. It is incredibly luxurious. Yuri leads her to a room and tells her to change out of her wet clothes. He lets her know that she can borrow any of his clothes until the maid washes and dries hers. He then steps out, giving her privacy to change. A little while later, Yuri returns, and the two sit and chat. G asks him about his family, and he tells her that his parents live in Japan, where they manage their business. He reveals that he lives in this massive house with only his grandfather. Later, Yuri takes G to have lunch with his grandfather, who is surprised because this is the first time Yuri has ever brought a female friend home. As they talk, G impresses Yuri's grandfather with her kindness and polite demeanor. The next day at school, G thanks Yuri and jokes around with him as they walk to class. Kefir is shocked when he sees Yuri laughing and playfully interacting with G. Curious, he pulls Yuri aside and asks him what happened the previous night. Yuri explains everything, and when he notices Kefir getting irritated, he reassures him that this changes nothing about their plan. Everything will still go exactly as they planned. Soon after, Kefir and G are summoned to the principal's office. When they arrive, the boys from Category D are there, claiming that Kefir and G attacked them for no reason. G immediately tries to defend herself and Kefir, but she notices that the principal doesn't believe her. This is because of Kefir's long history of causing trouble. G is shocked when the principal places full blame on Kefir for the incident. At that moment, G remembers what Yuri told her, that if Kefir got involved in another serious problem, he might be expelled from school. Determined to protect him, G steps forward and tells the principal that she was the one responsible for everything. The principal, however, sees through her attempt to defend Kefir and warns her that she herself could be expelled for taking the blame. G is stunned, but still insists that Kefir had nothing to do with it. In response, the principal says she will call G's guardian. After they leave the office, Kefir thanks G for what she did. A while later, Angelo arrives and takes G aside to speak with her privately. He yells at her for getting involved in trouble and reminds her that she promised not to cause any problems. G apologizes and promises not to make any more trouble. That night, Kefir is at Yuri's house, along with their other male classmates. Kefir discusses his plan with them, explaining how he will make G fall for him, only to break her heart and force her to leave the class. Yuri, however, seems unhappy about this plan, but he says nothing. The next day at school, G hears a noise coming from behind a garbage bin. When she approaches, she is surprised to find Mika hiding behind it. Mika is terrified because Iris has ordered the boys from Category D to chase her down and punish her, believing that she was the one who spoke badly about Ella. Fearing for her safety, she has been running away and hiding. G sympathizes with her and asks if any of her classmates tried to help her. Mika says that the only one who could have helped was Ella, but unfortunately she is absent today. G takes Mika to the bathroom, helps her clean up, and then decides to take her to Section A, hoping to protect her from the boys chasing her. However, when they arrive, Kefir is visibly annoyed by Mika's presence and wants to throw her out of the classroom. G yells at him, saying that Mika needs help and reminds him that he once helped her before. Kefir seizes this opportunity to start his plan and, with obvious romantic intent, tells G that he is willing to do anything for her. Yuri, watching from a distance, is unable to hide his jealousy. G, on the other hand, becomes flustered and doesn't know how to respond. At the end of the day, G walks with Mika to ensure that no one attacks her on her way home. As they walk, G asks Mika about her history with Alex. Mika sits with her and explains that she and Alex used to love each other. One day, Ella came to her and told her that she had seen Alex standing with another girl. Mika was shocked, but refused to believe it. However, later, she saw Alex getting close to another girl at the cafeteria, confirming Ella's words. From that moment on, she cut ties with Alex completely. Mika tells G that since then, Alex has been trying to apologize and make amends, hoping to get back together with her, but she has refused to give him another chance. She then asks G if Alex deserves a second chance. G looks at Alex, noticing the regret on his face, and tells Mika to think carefully before making her decision. G then walks Mika home. Later that night, G confronts Iris about how he treated Mika, telling him that what he did was wrong. She insists that Mika never said anything bad about Ella. As they talk, Ella walks in and is visibly upset after learning what Iris did to Mika. Iris follows her, trying to make amends. The next day, Ella approaches G and thanks her for standing up for Mika. She tells G that she spoke with Iris and made him promise to leave Mika alone. However, Ella also asks G to keep Alex away from Mika because she is afraid that Alex might hurt Mika again. G refuses, saying that she has no right to interfere in Mika and Alex's relationship. It is up to them to decide their own future. After a while, G is surprised when a student from Section A presents Mika with flowers in front of their classmates and confesses his feelings for her, saying he has liked her for a long time but never had the courage to express it. G tells Mika to think carefully before responding, but Ella interrupts G, telling her to stay out of it. At that moment, Alex steps forward and, in front of everyone, tells Mika that he regrets everything he did to her and asks for a chance to talk to her privately. Meanwhile, Kefir and Yuri are both focused on G, watching her closely because she seems deeply moved by the romantic scene unfolding before her. Mika responds to Alex, telling him that she is willing to give him another chance. The students in Section A celebrate happily. Later, G and Kefir watch Mika and Alex from a distance as they meet. They see Alex screaming with joy because Mika has promised to consider getting back together with him. Kefir takes advantage of the moment and tells G that he wishes he could experience a romantic moment like that with her. G gets flustered and doesn't know how to respond, so she leaves. G goes to the bathroom and notices that someone has written a lot of things on the door. An idea suddenly comes to her, and she immediately puts her plan into action. She goes to C and David and tells them that she placed her phone in the girls' bathroom, showing them a video she recorded. The footage captures Freya insulting Ella, giving G solid evidence against her. Later that day, when G returns home, she shows the video to Iris and demands that he punish Freya for what she did. However, G is shocked when Iris refuses, telling her that he knows she is just trying to use him to take revenge on Freya, and he won't allow that. He then walks away, leaving G feeling frustrated because her plan has failed. The next morning, G rides her bicycle to school when a boy in a car stops her to ask for directions. She gives him directions, and he thanks her before driving off. Just then, Yuri arrives and asks her about the boy. G tells him that he was just lost and needed help finding his way. They both continue on to school. At school, Mika approaches G and thanks her for helping her make the right decision. She hands G a letter and asks her to deliver it to Alex. G quickly takes the letter to him, and Alex sits among his classmates, opening it nervously while everyone watches, waiting to find out Mika's answer. Suddenly, Alex yells in excitement, announcing that Mika has agreed to get back together with him. Overjoyed, he hugs G and thanks her for being the reason this happened. G tells him not to waste any time and to go to Mika immediately. Kefir and Yuri watch the scene, feeling pleased with everything happening around them. During PE class, the students from Section A are in the gym alongside students from Section E. While training, G is the fastest among her classmates, outrunning them all. However, Kefir trips her, causing her to fall so that he can win. G retaliates by tripping Kefir the same way he did to her. Everyone is shocked because they all know Kefir has a quick temper and could seriously hurt G. But what happens next surprises them all. Instead of getting angry, Kefir playfully chases G, threatening to punish her for what she did. G runs as fast as she can, but Kefir manages to catch her. As she struggles to escape his grasp, he accidentally kisses her. Everyone freezes in shock at what just happened. Iris immediately steps in, claiming he is protecting G from Kefir. However, Kefir stops him, saying that it was just a joke and that G didn't mind. Iris, however, grabs G's wrist and tries to pull her away from Kefir. Kefir then grabs her other wrist, refusing to let go, and the two of them start pulling her back and forth until Kefir forcefully pulls G toward him and kisses her in front of everyone. Later, Kefir is seen sitting in the classroom with his classmates, holding an ice pack over his face. It is revealed that G punched him after he kissed her. The next day at school, G sees a couple standing together, getting close to each other. She suddenly spaces out, recalling what happened with Kefir the day before. She can't wrap her head around the idea that Kefir might actually have feelings for her. Snapping back to reality, she starts hitting herself lightly on the head, trying to shake the thoughts away. C notices her and asks if she's okay. G tells him that she's fine, but as she talks, she suddenly feels weak, so she leaves and goes to the bathroom to wash her face. Inside the bathroom, Rocky enters and immediately notices that G looks feverish. She asks if G has gone to the infirmary or taken any medicine. G tells her that she doesn't need any medicine and that she will be fine. She also mentions that she can't go to the infirmary because she has an important exam today. Rocky then tells G that she has wanted to talk to her for a while, especially since the fight with Freya. G says she is still upset about what happened. Rocky warns G that Freya won't leave her alone and will try to take revenge in any way she can. She explains that Freya did the same thing to her in the past. She caused a lot of trouble for C, leading to his transfer to Section E. She also reveals that Iris knew Freya was in the wrong but couldn't punish her because he was secretly in a relationship with her behind Ella's back. G is shocked to hear this. Rocky confirms that she saw them getting close at a party, and she explains that Freya always threatens Iris with exposing their relationship to Ella. Because of this, Freya does whatever she wants at school without facing any consequences. G then asks Rocky about her past with Sai. Rocky tells her that she and C used to love each other, but when Freya found out, she became jealous because she also liked C. From then on, Freya constantly fought with Rocky and caused her problems. When C intervened to defend Rocky, Freya framed him for theft, ruining his reputation and making the school administration transfer him to Section E. G returns to her classroom feeling upset about everything she has learned. Meanwhile, her condition worsens, and she becomes too weak to keep her head up. She sits between Yuri and Kefir, struggling to stay awake. When the teacher arrives and hands out the exam papers, G is completely exhausted and unable to focus. Eventually, she falls asleep at her desk. After some time, her classmates wake her up. The moment she opens her eyes, she panics, realizing that she has slept through the exam and hasn't answered a single question. She becomes terrified that she will fail and embarrass herself in front of her family. The next day, G stands in front of the bulletin board where the exam results are posted. She is completely stunned when she sees that she has received a high score. Unable to believe it, she wonders if she is still hallucinating from her illness. She looks at Kefir and finds him smirking at her. That's when she realizes that he saw her struggling during the exam and secretly filled out her test for her. G is even more surprised when she looks back at the exam results and sees that Kefir and Yuri both scored extremely high. She can't understand why such intelligent students would still be in Section E. The next day, G enters the classroom and finds C sitting alone. He tells her that he's hungry and wants food. He then takes out flour and an egg from his locker and asks G to make him pancakes. G tells him she needs kitchen tools, but C surprises her by revealing that there are cooking utensils stored in the classroom. G takes them out and starts making pancakes. Her classmates gather around her, excited and happy about what she's doing. Yuri and Kefir arrive and are surprised to see G cooking. Kefir tells her that whoever becomes her boyfriend will be very lucky and says that he wishes it could be him. G is flattered by his words and gets so caught up in the moment that she forgets about the pancake on the stove and it burns. She yells at Kefir, blaming him for distracting her. Kefir leaves the classroom and Yuri steps in to help G with the pancakes. During the break, C is sitting alone with a handbag on his lap. When G sees him, she asks whose bag it is. C tells her that it belongs to a girl named Melda, who left it with him while she went to the bathroom. But when Melda returns, she gets angry at Sai for holding her bag. She then brings one of her male classmates over, points at Sai, and accuses him of stealing money from her bag. C denies it, but the boy doesn't believe him and starts a fight. G steps in to defend C, pushing the other boy away and telling Melda that she was the one who gave her bag to C for safekeeping. Melda, however, denies this and insists that C is lying. A crowd gathers around them. C keeps trying to defend himself, but no one believes him, especially the students from Section A, since C has a history of theft. Freya speaks up, but G immediately cuts her off, telling her that she's the last person who should be talking about this. G then exposes Freya, saying that she knows she has falsely accused C of stealing many times before. A student from Section A steps in and asks Melda how much money she lost. As soon as she states the amount, he pulls out the exact sum from his pocket and hands it to her. He then turns to C and congratulates him in front of everyone, sarcastically telling him that he doesn't need to steal since his family is rich. G loses her temper, furious at the injustice C is facing. She wants to fight the students from Section A, knowing that they framed C. However, Yuri grabs her and takes her back to the classroom. He tells her to confirm the truth with Sai before starting a fight. G stands in front of C and asks him if he really stole the money. C insists that he didn't and that he's being set up. G and her classmates believe him and sympathize with him. Meanwhile, at home, Iris is with Ella. He tells her that he knows she was the one who framed C and asks her why she did it. She explains that she is upset with G and wanted to hurt her by making her feel bad for C. She still resents G for influencing Mika to get back with Alex, which caused Mika to change and distance herself from Ella. Ella is also bothered by how all the boys in Section A treat G well, especially since she used to be close to them when she was still in Section A. Iris comforts her and tells her to forget about everyone else and focus on him. He promises to make up for anything she has lost. The next day, G speaks with Kefir and asks him for money. She wants to settle the embarrassing situation Sai was put in. Kefir warns her against it, but she insists, so he gives her the money she asked for. G then goes to the student who paid off Melda and throws the money in his face, telling him that C is not a thief. She then loudly declares in front of everyone that she was the one who stole the money from Melda's bag. Iris approaches G and tells her that he understands she's trying to protect Sai, but he never expected her to take the blame for him. Freya seizes the opportunity and records G's confession, posting the video online. When G returns to the classroom, she finds her classmates upset. She is shocked when they show her the video that Freya uploaded, in which G is seen admitting that she stole the money. C feels guilty that G got herself into trouble because of him, but G tells him that she doesn't mind as long as it clears his name. C approaches her and thanks her before hugging her. Yuri, Kefir, and the rest of their classmates feel happy about G's actions. Kefir then contacts his hacker friend Eddie and asks him to delete the video from all social media platforms. The next day, Angelo scolds G after seeing the video. G is surprised when she realizes that Angelo has Kefir's number and is calling him to ask what happened. Kefir reassures him that G did it to protect C's reputation and that the video has already been erased. Angelo calms down, but warns G not to do something like this again. Later, G's grandmother arrives with her uncle's wife, who doesn't like G. She tells the grandmother about the video that was posted online, but the grandmother refuses to believe it. Feeling frustrated, G says she needs some fresh air and goes out for a walk. She stops by a restaurant where she encounters the girls from Section A. The moment they see her, they call the waiter and tell him that G is a thief and that they are uncomfortable with her presence. The waiter approaches G and asks her to leave. Just then, Yuri enters the restaurant and sees what is happening. He immediately steps in and tells the waiter that he will pay for all of the restaurant's earnings that day and demands that the girls be kicked out instead. G is shocked by what's happening, especially when she learns that the restaurant is owned by Yuri's family. Because of this, the waiter is intimidated and obeys Yuri's command, throwing the girls out just as he said. Yuri then sits with G and treats her to lunch. G thanks him for what he did, feeling happy about the way things turned out. However, the moment is interrupted when Kefir arrives in his car. His expression darkens when he sees G sitting with Yuri, laughing and having fun. We see that the love triangle was about to start early. Jay is telling Yuri about her life story and her relationship with her family. Yuri then shares his own background, revealing that he has a younger sister and lives with his parents in Japan. Yuri keeps glancing at Jay and admiring her as she eats. When she notices, he tries to brush it off. He asks her if she's the one helping CN, and she tells him that CN is like a brother to her, which makes him feel at ease. He then asks if she's ever been in a relationship before, and she shares that she's been in 2. The first guy turned out to be a jerk, so she broke up with him, while the second was seriously ill and ended up in a coma, which led to their breakup. Yuri thinks to himself, I think I'm starting to like her, but I can't do that because Kefir will be mad at me. He's standing outside, ready to storm in and drag me out by my red hair. Kefir calls his friends and leaves to meet them, while Jay asks Yuri if he's ever been in love. Yuri tells her that he had a one-sided crush. She teases him, saying, "What? On the school's most popular girl? Don't feel bad?" Yuri reassures her that he's moved on, and Jay laughs, joking that he's behind her. He gets startled, but then laughs at her playful attitude. She tells him she needs to leave because she left her bike outside. Yuri offers to spend the day with her and take her home afterward, and she agrees. Meanwhile, Kefir is in a terrible mood and wants to pick a fight with anyone. The situation escalates when they find out that the genius hacker couldn't break into the school's system or hack the cameras to find out who stole the money. This makes them think CN might not be such a great hacker after all, and that he's been outdone by kids. Someone suggests checking the cameras at the school itself, but Kefir shoots down the idea, saying, "Are you stupid? We're from the security department. If we get caught, we'll get a beating." He cancels that plan and orders them to proceed with a second plan, which remains a mystery. Suddenly, someone asks about Yuri, and Kefir loses his temper, saying, "Am I not enough for you?" He then decides to punish them by making them play basketball with him. Meanwhile, Yuri is the sweet one who offers to take Jay home on her bike. Jay is annoyed because she thought he'd take her home by car. She gets nervous about falling and grabs onto him, placing her hands on his stomach. He laughs and begs her to remove them because it tickles him. She moves her hands to his shoulder, but the bike loses balance, causing her to fall and get injured. Yuri, on the other hand, remains unharmed. He takes out his handkerchief and ties it around her leg, helping her stand and seating her on the bike while he walks beside her to support her. When they reach her house, he carries her inside, pretending she's exhausted. From their misfortune, Jay's grandmother arrives home and sees them. She scolds Yuri, saying, "Put her down, son. You're embarrassing us in front of the neighbors." He insists that he'll stay to help. She then tells him to come inside and sit on the couch. Yuri takes the first aid kit and insists on treating Jay's injury himself. Jay clings to her grandmother because of the pain, but Yuri's gentle touch feels soothing, and she barely notices the pain until he finishes. Jay's grandmother, who's observant, notices that they make a good pair. She asks, "Are you her boyfriend?" Jay quickly denies it, but the grandmother insists that they seem like they're dating. Yuri gets embarrassed, his face turning as red as his hair. Jay explains that they're just classmates, but the grandmother insists that Yuri stay and spend the day with them. Iris, who's not a fan of this, tries to kick him out, but the grandmother is persistent and insists that he stay for dinner. When Iris objects again, the grandmother grabs him by the ear and tells him to behave, warning him not to cause trouble. Everyone standing around gets scared because they know not to mess with her. During dinner, the grandmother interrogates Yuri about his family and is pleased to learn that his family is Japanese and lives there. She asks him to say a few words in Japanese to show off her skills, and she seems pleased to learn that Yuri comes from a wealthy family. Meanwhile, Iris still doesn't like him and asks Jay to kick him out after dinner. She ignores him and leaves him barking like a dog, while Yuri takes the peas from her plate because he loves them. In return, she takes the potatoes, and it's like they're sharing a mutual understanding. The grandmother notices all of this silently and comments that Jay should learn to cook what Yuri likes because you two seem like you're going to get married. I can sense there's something between you. The problem, my friends, is that Yuri is glowing and feels like the grandmother really understands things. Suddenly, Jay receives a message from Kefir, but she ignores it and stays focused on Yuri. After they finish eating, Jay walks Yuri out. We notice that his car arrived to pick him up, and they laugh together. Yuri feels happy when she tells him, "Good night." He stands there, looking like hearts and fireworks are going off, and honestly, she reminds me of Suho from True Beauty. If anyone else sees the resemblance, comment below because I don't want to feel like I'm the only one. After Yuri leaves, Jay remembers Kefir's message and opens it, discovering that they've changed the plan. The next day at school, Jay is surprised when one of Kefir's crew stops her from entering the classroom. But our girl, like a pro, distracts him with food, sneaks past him, and sees that they've cornered the girl with the backpack and are beating up her boyfriend, trying to make him confess. Jay yells at Kefir and tells him to stop because they're not going to get a confession this way, and if the school finds out, there will be big trouble. She insists that kindness works better in situations like this. Sure enough, after they release the girl, she checks on her boyfriend and eventually says she'll confess. But before she can speak, fear stops her. Jay is ready to pull her hair out, but the guys hold her back and say, "Not everything works with kindness." Kefir finds Jay's attitude irritating and orders his guys to hold her back while he deals with the boyfriend himself. And as you know, Kefir's muscles could send someone straight to Mars with one hit. Fearing for her boyfriend, the girl confesses, saying that CN is innocent and that someone else asked her to frame him. She's too scared to reveal who it is. Suddenly, Rocky steps out from behind and reveals that she recorded the confession. Jay realizes this must be the second plan. Jay looks surprised, but Reiki says, "I came here for you." CN interrupts, saying, "No, she's lying. She came for me. She still loves me." And of course, all the guys standing around cheer him on. They take the video of the confession and give it to their hacker friend, who uploads it to the bully's account, making it look like she confessed to being the mastermind behind the scheme. When the bully finds out, she gets angry and suspects Keiko, the only one with her password. She confronts Keiko, who says, "Are you stupid? I've been here the whole time. How could I have done that?" She starts searching the school for the real culprit. Meanwhile, Kefir calmly tells Jay, "I solved the problem with CN, so you should thank me." When she refuses, he tells her to pay him for his work. When she refuses again, he says, "Then I want something else," giving her a sly look. Jay stands her ground, thinking, "No way. There's nothing more valuable than honor." Kefir laughs and says, "Seriously? You think I'd look at you like that? I was talking about the food in your bag." He then gives her 3 options. Either you pay me $25,000, thank me properly, or bring me food every day until we graduate. Jay tries to negotiate the cost of the ingredients since she'll be paying out of her own pocket. Kefir distracts her, steals her food, and runs off, leaving her cursing him out. When she turns around, she finds Yuri, the gentle one, waiting for her with food. They head to their usual spot, where they find CN and David waiting for them to eat together. Jay asks about Mika and Calyx, and they explain that they're in the next room because they don't want to disturb them since they're a couple. Jay acts nonchalant and shares her food with CN and David. Yuri is touched by her kindness, so he surprises her with a luxurious meal that she's never had in her life. When she struggles to eat it, he takes the opportunity to feed her himself. She finds it delicious, but she invites the guys to try some too, worried that CN might be eyeing the food. The guys suddenly ask her, if Kefir and Eris fought, who would you side with? Jay feels conflicted, but Yuri tells her to eat and think about it later because her answer is important. The next day, as Jay heads to school, a new guy with blue eyes and perfect English offers her a ride because she's carrying a lot of stuff. She refuses, thinking, just because he's handsome and speaks English fluently doesn't mean I should agree. Right after, Yuri arrives in his fancy car and offers her a ride instead. She accepts and, during the ride, asks him how he happened to pass by her street when he doesn't live there. Clearly he came for her, but he lies, saying he was running an errand. He offers to help her carry her things, but she refuses, saying, no way, this food is for that fool Kefir. Just then, Kefir shows up, steals the bag, and runs into the classroom. There's no need to explain what happens next. When the hungry guys find food, they raid it immediately. Jay gets angry and starts cursing at Kefir, blaming him for everything. She sits down when the teacher enters the class and announces that the school festival is coming up and everyone needs to prepare. Jay is confused, so they explain that it's a week-long celebration filled with activities, games, and even beauty contests. Of course, the school bully has been winning the contest every year. Each department has a responsibility, and Kefir's group is assigned to guard and clean the place. Because of this, Kefir refuses to participate in the festival, feeling that it's humiliating to be seen as servants for other departments. But Jay disagrees and wants to participate to bring something new to the festival. Kefir protests, and they argue. The class ends up divided. Some side with Kefir because they're scared of him and agree with his logic, while others side with Jay, tempted by the promise of lots of food at the festival and the possibility of meeting beautiful girls. The teacher steps in and tells them to calm down, work out an agreement, and let him know their decision. During the break, Jay walks with CN, who suggests they have lunch together alone. Jay, realizing he's being flirty, gets annoyed and calls Yuri instead. She tells Yuri she'll join him and the others shortly, then takes Kefir's lunchbox to give it back to him. Kefir is obviously jealous and doesn't want her to leave. He orders her to eat lunch there with him, and when she refuses, he calls the rest of the group over and makes them eat there too, forcing Jay to stay. Fortunately for Jay, she ends up sitting next to Yuri. The rest of the group looks on hungrily, wanting to steal food, but Kefir warns them that from now on, stealing food is banned. Everyone has to bring their own. Kefir then sits between Jay and Yuri, thinking it'll make Jay focus on him, but she completely ignores him, feeling sorry for the rest of the guys who don't have food. Jay suggests cooking food for everyone since there's a kitchen nearby, but Kefir yells at her not to touch the equipment because it belongs to one of their friends. The surprise is that the owner is a boy named Emin, who can't attend school because he works at his father's restaurant. Unfortunately, his family is in debt because his mother spends all the money they earn recklessly. Jay feels bad for Emin and tells her friends that they should visit him. Kefir warns her not to interfere in people's lives, but the rest of the group insists on going, so he has no choice but to go along with it. When they arrive at the restaurant, they notice that the place is empty. Emin explains that he plans to quit school because if he doesn't pay off the debt soon, the restaurant will be shut down. Jay suggests that they work there to help improve the restaurant's income, and they agree not to take any pay. Once they start working, the number of customers increases dramatically thanks to Yuri's popularity. Despite this, Yuri keeps scowling at the customers until Jay pulls him aside and says, "Smile a little, your smile is charming." He listens to her, and as soon as he smiles, the customers cheer in excitement. The girls' reactions are relatable and hilarious. Kefir starts to get jealous, feeling like Yuri is stealing the spotlight and Jay's attention. The rivalry escalates, and both of them try to outdo each other. Yuri starts taking selfies with customers, so Kefir raises the stakes by letting customers touch his muscles. The situation gets out of control. Everyone's losing their minds, wondering where manners and decency went. Jay stands there happily, watching as Yuri shows off his muscles to the customers. The girls in the restaurant are losing their minds, and Yuri has muscles that no one seems able to ignore. Kefir can't stand being outdone, and the competition continues until nighttime. Suddenly, Kefir burns his hand on some hot food. Jay is standing next to him, so she tells him to rest and brings him the first aid kit. She takes care of his burn, and Kefir starts melting, his face practically turning into a heart. After a moment, he snaps out of it and blames her, saying, "This wouldn't have happened if we hadn't come here." Jay thanks him for everything he did today, including helping CN. The atmosphere calms down, but then Aris, Keela, the bully, and their group show up at the restaurant, gathering together with a suspicious look in their eyes. The group was standing around facing each other, almost like a standoff between turkeys, and we thought a showdown was about to happen. But nothing happened because the bully just said, "Take it easy, guys." Then she called the heroes to order food, and we noticed that Yuri wasn't fond of them. Before he could reach out, he ran inside to avoid any problems. Kefir tried to keep things calm to prevent anything from happening. Outside, the bully mocked Jay, saying, "If you're working as a waitress, it suits you." Her friend also mocked Kefir, saying, "Aren't you from a rich family? What's with this downfall? You look like you're struggling." Jay didn't stay silent, letting them know that they worked hard and weren't spoiled like them. She also called Mika over to irritate the bully, showing her that her friend was working with them. She asked Mika and Calix to take the orders, threatening that if she stayed another second, she might drag the bully by her hair. But Kefir intervened and said, "No, I want you to take the orders." He put his hand on her shoulder and pulled her towards him, and of course our girl felt flustered, thinking, with all these muscles around me, I might faint. They started taking orders, and when it came to Kefir's turn, Jay moved as if he were her cousin. She brushed Kefir's hand aside, acting like he hadn't noticed her from earlier. Kefir decided to tease her back, saying, "What would you like, my love? What do you want, my dear?" Kefir stood there like a lion, unaffected. The heroes informed them that the food would arrive shortly. Suddenly, Keiko received a message from someone named Rome, but he ignored it. Meanwhile, Kefir and Calix went into the kitchen. Calix mentioned that Jay and Kefir had a strange relationship, and they seemed to dislike each other. He suggested that if they continued with their plan and something happened to Jay, Kefir wouldn't be affected. He proposed changing the plan to remove Jay from it, and Kefir started to consider it. During this time, Jay found Keiko asking her out. She was shocked, but he said Kefir didn't know anything and was waiting for her answer. Then David entered, yelling at Keiko for acting cold towards her. It seemed like there was tension between them. Jay tried to control the situation by pulling David aside, pretending there was work to be done. Keiko watched her and said, "I'm still waiting for your answer, beautiful." When she and David went inside, he exposed her in front of everyone, asking, "Are you going out with Keiko?" Everyone was shocked, especially Kefir, who asked, "Do you like him?" She denied it, and before they could corner her any further, she ran out. Kefir got angry and sensed that Keiko had plans for Jay, which worried him. Jay later asked Masi if there were any issues between David and Keiko. He said he didn't like gossip, but informed her that they had once been in a fight at an abandoned factory. When they arrived, David was severely injured while Keiko was holding a pipe, leaving everyone unsure if he was responsible for hurting David. At that time, David was the department head and had a policy of, "Stay out of trouble, my dear." Since he did nothing during the incident, most students thought he was a coward. When Kefir became the leader, everyone was happy, knowing he was brave and wouldn't let things slide. Kefir teased her about liking Keiko, and when she denied it, he jokingly asked if she liked him instead. She threatened to steal his pie, and he stuck his tongue out at her. That night, Yuri escorted her home, concerned that it was late. He said, "Why do you look so tense? Relax a little, I'm feeling protective." It was clear he was happy with any time he spent with her and reminded her not to forget their plans. Afterward, he got into his car, which he jokingly claimed would be hers in the future, and drove off. Suddenly, Keiko appeared, startling Jay, who thought he was a ghost. Keiko explained that he wanted her number, but Iris refused to give it. He said he was a respectable man who wanted to do things the right way and intended to propose to her. Jay felt overwhelmed by the rapid development of their relationship. Iris then intervened, saying there would be no engagement. Keiko tried to reason with him, saying, "I'm your friend," but Iris replied, "Because you're my friend, I'm not allowing it." He further declared that Jay wasn't permitted to date or go out with anyone and kicked Keiko out. He told Jay to respect herself, reminding her that her boyfriend was still in the hospital while she was hanging around other guys. The next day, Jay left the house, anxiously looking around to make sure Keiko wasn't following her. However, she was startled by Kefir, who joked, "Looks like you were expecting someone else." She tried to change the subject, asking him what he was doing there. He informed her that he was taking her to a meeting with the group since she was late. He drove her in his extremely fancy car, which Jay couldn't stop staring at. She started eating, and he was hungry too. Kefir couldn't help himself, took a bite, and accidentally bit her finger. Jay was shocked, while Kefir happily joked, "I didn't have breakfast because I was busy picking you up. You should repay me." He asked her again if she liked Keiko, and when she denied it, he warned her that he couldn't stand liars and would hang her out to dry if she lied. Jay was lost in her thoughts. After finishing breakfast, she looked at her finger, clearly still surprised. When they arrived at the restaurant, the whole group was there. Emma informed them that his father had fully recovered and would be managing the place again. This meant he could return to school, and his mother, who had changed her ways, had taken leave to help his father. They decided to rehire the former employees, which meant the group would have more time to focus on studying. Though they joked that they never really studied in the first place, Iman decided to reward everyone by letting them cook at school to make up for all the food they had missed. He asked Jay to help out since she was always ready to sacrifice, and she agreed. After that, everyone started working since the customers were about to arrive, except for Jay, who said she was hungry and wanted to have breakfast first. Kefir, the soft-hearted one, told Mika to get her the menu so she could order whatever she wanted, adding, "She's paying for herself." Jay cursed him in her mind, thinking, "You scoundrel, I thought you'd pay for me." Kefir then laughed, saying he was joking and that he'd actually treat her, which made her happy. Meanwhile, Yuri stood there feeling sad, thinking she was slipping away from him. The next day, Jay was having breakfast when someone from the service informed her that a colleague was waiting for her outside and that if she took too long, he'd hang her out to dry. Jay guessed it must be Kefir, the fool, and went out ready for a fight, only to find 4 handsome men waiting for her. Now, those are the kind of men who are worth a second look. They told her she needed to come with them to buy the ingredients for the school. She asked them to wait while she changed, and one of them said, "You look amazing as you are." Jay cursed him, but Kefir agreed, saying, "He's right, you're beautiful." And secretly, our girl melted a little. We can't blame her, we did too. As they got into the car, Yuri watched them with jealousy that could kill. They arrived at the shop and bought enough supplies to feed a whole tribe. Jay carried heavy bags, complaining, "Doesn't anyone have a conscience to help me?" Yuri was about to take the bags, but Kefir beat him to it. Yuri felt upset and offered to help with the remaining bags, but Jay refused, insisting she was strong enough to handle it herself. The next day at school, Jay was tired and wanted to sleep. Yuri suddenly scared her from behind. She was surprised by his appearance and noticed he'd removed his glasses and put on contacts. She told him he looked great, thinking, "My man looks amazing with or without glasses." At that moment, Kefir felt jealous, and when they went to class, Jay found Saigon sleeping and tried to wake him up. Aman stopped her, saying, "Leave him, he's like a rock, you can't wake him." They started cleaning the kitchen to store their supplies, and Jay noticed a box labeled with the name Keela. She asked what happened, and they told her Keela was a nice girl, but when she got angry, she was a demon. Once she pulled a girl's hair and injured her, and the school wanted to expel her. Instead, they transferred her here. Jay was surprised and asked how Keela returned after everything that happened. Kefir interrupted her, saying, "It's none of your business." He whispered, "Curiosity killed the cat," and added, "Got it, kitten," before leaving. Jay felt scared but remembered how he held her hand that morning and forgot everything he did. "I told you, the hook is set." Jay started working, taking out the trash, when she noticed one of the guys acting strangely. She went to where he had been standing and found something unusual, though it wasn't clear what it was. Her curiosity got the better of her, but she couldn't ask because everyone was eating lunch. Yuri noticed something was off and asked if she was okay. Kefir, keeping an eye on everything, seemed suspicious. David then appeared injured, and all the guys gathered around him, telling the girls to stay away. Of course, Jay and Mika eavesdropped, trying to figure out what was happening, but they failed. Jay started suspecting something was wrong since the boys were acting secretive. When they saw her, they scattered, making her feel that nobody was going to tell her anything. She took advantage of the group's focus on Kefir to talk to David and asked, "Come on, as your close friend, tell me what happened." David explained that Keiko had announced he was going to propose to her, and David couldn't stand it, so they fought over her. Jay assured him she'd fix things between them, but David refused her help. Kefir then ordered the guys to escort her out, saying, "She's going to make things worse." Cian was tasked to take her away, saying, "Let's go. There are dishes waiting for you." They ended up washing dishes together. Jay asked him to spill the details, but Cian said, "You know I'm not into gossip," and eventually confessed that the guys were planning something to get David's justice. He begged her not to pressure him any further, then ran out. A while later, Kefir entered and asked, "What are you doing here, miss?" She asked him the same thing. Kefir explained that it was the men's bathroom and that he had every right to be there. Jay argued it wasn't her fault that the girls' bathroom was out of order. He asked her for the millionth time if she liked Keiko, and she denied it. Kefir pulled her closer, looked into her eyes and said, "Say it to my face." She told him it was none of his business and asked why he cared so much. Embarrassed, he couldn't respond, flipped the conversation and accused her of caring about him. Jay explained that she was trying to resolve the problems between the guys. Later that day, the group gathered and warned Jay not to follow them. Her curiosity got the best of her, so she tricked Eamon and slipped away, following them silently. They entered an abandoned building and Jay snuck in, hiding behind some wood. Suddenly, someone grabbed her from behind and covered her mouth. Our guys called out to Keiko, who arrived with his crew. Let's be honest, Keiko's muscles are impressive. A fight was about to break out between Keiko and David to settle things once and for all. David took off his jacket, showing off his muscles, ready to fight. But before they could do anything, someone from above stopped them and asked Kefir, "Don't you know who's behind this?" They realized it was Ram, the gang leader they'd clashed with before. Ram revealed that he brought Jay to watch the showdown. When they tried to argue, Ram said, "Calm down, guys, I have a surprise." He brought out Jay, holding her and asking, "What's your name, beautiful?" The guys warned him to let her go, but Ram declared that no one could make him. Jay headbutted him and made a run for it, jumping from above. All the guys chased after her. We see gangs who successfully kidnapping Jay. This happens when she was in a fight with Kiko's gang because she was challenging them. However, Jay retaliates and starts attacking them. She jumps toward them immediately, shocking them. At that moment, she recalls what happened and wonders if something had happened to her, as she doesn't even remember passing out. The three of them look at her as if she's crazy because they weren't even able to catch her at the time, and she could have gotten seriously hurt. Kefir is extremely worried about her. As time passes, he checks on her immediately to make sure she's okay. They don't want her to act recklessly like that again because they were genuinely scared for her. Meanwhile, Sean seems to be lost in his own world, believing that she was flying. Jay apologizes to him, and they try to escape from the second gang's territory. They all see her as weak, which is why they target her, especially since they've fought against her before. She blames them for dragging her into this situation, and she decides to have a one-on-one talk with Keiko. Keiko is happy about this, and everyone else decides to leave them alone. Kefir doesn't want to leave, but he does anyway, keeping an eye on them. Keiko sits beside her and tells her not to listen to what David said. Jay makes it clear that she isn't interested in any relationships at the moment, and it has nothing to do with Keiko personally. She just prefers it that way. He accepts her decision, but it makes him sad, so he quickly leaves, feeling down. Meanwhile, David insists on escorting Jay home to ensure her safety. Kefir is still upset, but follows behind her. Jay realizes he wants to say something, so she apologizes for what happened. However, he only cares about her well-being and doesn't want her to get hurt. She wants to understand everything that's going on, including why Keiko was involved in a fight to the death. It turns out that Keiko was once the leader, but someone challenged and defeated him. Since then, he has been cautious, even using a pipe to fight back and prove himself. They don't trust Keiko or anyone who follows him. Jay is happy that they care about her and want to protect her, especially if Keiko ever resurfaces. She wonders if she would ever agree to a relationship if someone wanted to be with her. She suspects Kefir has feelings for her, but she denies it to herself and leaves, trying to calm down. Later, she arrives home late, and everyone is worried about her. She tells them she hit her head. Angelo informs her that he left earlier to handle a work issue. He also tells her that she has to spend the night with Eris in the only available room, meaning they need to get along. Suddenly, Phony calls, and Eris explains everything that happened between them and how she should handle it. When Jay sees a pregnancy test, she assumes it belongs to her and that it might be Kefir's child. She recalls the moment she first saw it and then learns that it actually belongs to Denzel's girlfriend, who is pregnant. Angelo confronts Kefir about it, shocking him. They assume Jay is pregnant with Kefir's child. This causes tension, especially between Eris and Jay, as Jay keeps making things difficult for him. Angelo doesn't want this issue to affect their family's reputation, so they try to clarify everything. Kefir is called in, and they all gather to confirm whether Jay is actually pregnant or not. Jay realizes that no one is truly on her side. She later speaks with Kefir's father, who is also upset. Suddenly, the doctor arrives and confirms that Jay is not pregnant. The test results are negative. Everyone feels relieved, though they are also embarrassed by the misunderstanding. Kefir can't stop laughing at the situation. Jay walks away, and Kefir follows her. He apologizes on behalf of Kefir, but she refuses to accept it. She's tired of the problems he always causes for her. Kefir tries to resolve everything, but when he comes out, Jay immediately punches him because she's still angry at him for taking advantage of the situation. The next day, everyone finds out that Jay punched Kefir, leaving a mark on his face. Meanwhile, she starts giving Senko advice on how to be good to Mika. However, the others gossip about her. When Kefir finally speaks to Jay, he tells her it was all just a prank. She realizes he has been causing her problems all along, and they end up in another argument. Despite their conflicts, Jay eventually sits beside Kefir, reflecting on whether he will ever apologize properly. They still can't get along and keep clashing, but eventually, everyone gathers to discuss everything. The first group to speak is Freya's, which is well organized. Each section starts listing their strengths, but in reality, none of them have anything special. They begin planning their next steps and suggesting ideas while Jay watches in surprise. When it comes to their own section, they realize they have nothing prepared. So, they decide to divide tasks, wondering what their section is supposed to do. They end up choosing to collect masks and guard the area. However, their teacher announces a change in the competition. The girls must dress like boys and vice versa, and then the most attractive person in each section will be chosen. Because of this, Freya makes Section E join them in the competition. However, she deliberately tries to make them look bad. As time passes, they get into an argument over the food that Iman is preparing. Jay steps in to organize everything while Kefir sits nearby, as usual, trying to get closer to her. Meanwhile, Jay notices Denzel, who is sitting alone and looking sad because his girlfriend is pregnant. She approaches him, noticing that he isn't eating as he normally would. She encourages him to eat, assuming he must be overthinking things. However, Denzel jokes that he is the one who is pregnant. Jay, being naive, believes him for a moment before realizing he's joking, which annoys her. She takes his food and walks away while he simply starts eating. At the same time, another girl from the second section who is dating Denzel begs him to acknowledge their child. However, he keeps rejecting her. Suddenly, Jay arrives, yelling at the girl, which makes Denzel step in to defend her. Jay assumes that he prioritizes his girlfriend over her and that he is rejecting the baby because of her. She forces him to talk to the girl properly, reminding him that he is the reason for this situation and needs to take responsibility. Later, Jay tries to convince Denzel to acknowledge the child, but the girl keeps crying. Jay steps in to comfort her, realizing that she is an orphan and has no family. That's why Denzel refuses to be with her. He doesn't want the responsibility. Jay continues trying to console her as best as she can, but the whole situation becomes overwhelming. Later in class, Denzel is still ignoring the girl, and Jay wonders how to get through to him. She thinks about asking Angelo for help, but it would be difficult to get him involved. She also considers Yuri, but she isn't sure if he would agree. Then she thinks of David. Maybe he is the right person to talk to Denzel. Jay immediately goes to find David and they decide to eat together. David jokingly suggests they go on a date and Sean overhears them, making a big deal out of it. No one believes it at first, but eventually they all assume it's true. Many people, especially Kefir, seem upset about it. Time passes and the three of them go to an amusement park together. They have fun, scream on the rides, and enjoy themselves. However, Sean gets motion sickness, leading to an argument with Jay. They start playfully chasing each other around the park. Sean wants to go on the rides again, but they decide to take a break and get some food instead. Meanwhile, David and Jay sit together, which she didn't expect. She wanted to talk to him seriously, mainly to find out if his girlfriend was pregnant. She doesn't want anyone to find out what's happening, but she suspects that Denzel refused to be with Chris because of something he overheard. Jay realizes Denzel is struggling to take this step. As the class keeps watching the situation unfold, Jay thinks about who might be able to convince him. Then David reveals that all their classmates are secretly observing them, even though they are hiding. To reveal them, he tells Jay to close her eyes. When she does, the hidden students finally show themselves. David takes the opportunity to touch her, and just as he is about to kiss her, everyone rushes forward, stopping him because he already has a girlfriend. This causes a lot of drama. Sean and the others also show up, scolding David for even attempting that. Freya is particularly furious, believing David had no right to do it. His reaction makes them realize that he is more upset than they expected, especially since Kefir had already been getting close to Jay. Later, they decide to enter a haunted house. Jay is terrified and refuses to go in, but everyone insists. They take pictures together to remember the moment. Once inside, Jay gets even more scared, especially since she is stuck with Sean. Everyone is frightened because they aren't used to haunted houses. One by one, they go through different terrifying moments. Jay, trying to be brave, holds on to Sean, who is barely keeping it together himself. They walk through the haunted house until they reach a specific area where everyone suddenly gets scared again. Then, out of nowhere, they realize one of their friends has disappeared. She ran off alone, lost inside the haunted house. Jay is terrified when she sees a vampire and starts crying uncontrollably. The sight brings back old memories, making her even more emotional. Kefir immediately steps in to comfort her as she has a full-blown panic attack. She hadn't wanted to enter the haunted house in the first place, and now she is overwhelmed with fear. Kefir stays by her side, trying to calm her down as much as possible, and he manages to reassure her. He promises that he won't leave her, leading them both to exit the haunted house together. But suddenly, Jay runs off alone again, and she and Kefir start calling out for each other. Though she tries to steady herself, the place is still terrifying. Just then, Kefir finds her and immediately pulls her into a hug. She hugs him back, and in that moment, it's clear that Kefir truly loves her. However, they quickly separate when their friends arrive. As they rejoin the group, everyone starts teasing them, convinced that something must have happened between them. Jay, however, is eager to go on the rides again. At first, Kefir refuses, but when he sees how much she wants to, he gives in just to make her happy. He decides to enjoy the moment with the group, but Yuri watches closely, growing more and more irritated. Kefir keeps getting closer to Jay, and Yuri doesn't like it, because he loves her. While waiting for their turn, Jay notices that Yuri knows some of the people nearby. They seem to really like him, and he quickly walks away. Meanwhile, the new group persuades others to let them go ahead in line, which impresses Jay. She thinks they're crazy, but skilled at persuasion. Kefir, with just one charming smile, easily gets his way, proving he can manipulate situations effortlessly. They finally board the Ferris wheel, and Kefir insists on sitting next to Jay. This upsets the others since it leaves them without a seat. The four of them ride together, and Jay starts suspecting that Yuri is here to confess to the girl he likes. However, he laughs it off as a joke. They take photos together, but Yuri grows increasingly annoyed because Kefir is staying too close to Jay. Suddenly, the Ferris wheel stops high above the ground due to a malfunction. Jay panics and immediately clings to Kefir, urging him to do something. They remain stuck for a while until the issue is resolved. Meanwhile, Eris calls, worried that Jay is taking too long, and asks Angelo to check on her. But before Jay can answer, Kefir takes her phone, frustrating Eris even more. Eris already dislikes Kefir, and this only makes things worse. In the end, he comes to pick her up himself, while Yuri remains upset. Elsewhere, the other students continue playing games and enjoying the city, having a great time. Meanwhile, Jay and her group are still hanging out when the fireworks start. She is completely mesmerized, her eyes shining with excitement. In that moment, she looks like a child, filled with pure joy, and Kefir can't take his eyes off her. She keeps moving, eager to see more, and tries to take pictures, but then realizes Kefir still has her phone. This leads to an argument between them, and in the midst of their struggle, she suddenly falls into his arms. She tries to pull away, but he refuses to let her go. He also doesn't want Yuri to see her happy with someone else. Frustrated, she leaves, while the others laugh at them. Soon after, Eris arrives, visibly irritated by how close she has been getting to Kefir. Their friends warn her not to get involved with anyone from Section A or develop feelings for Kefir. This makes her reflect on everything that has happened between them, how he has always been there for her and helped her countless times. But she still denies her feelings and walks away. Later, she unexpectedly finds herself at David's house and is surprised by the place he lives in. David's father is there and immediately calls Denzel. Kefir is equally surprised to see her, but realizes she wants to talk. The atmosphere becomes tense, and suddenly, Denzel reveals the truth about their harsh and poor lifestyle. He explains that they work in their home to make a living, and he has always used this as an excuse to keep his distance from his girlfriend Grace. Even though he and Grace love each other, he has never been able to fully accept their relationship. He constantly feels guilty, especially since Grace is always buying him expensive gifts. He originally wanted to keep their relationship a secret, but after the pregnancy, he found himself stuck, unable to take responsibility, yet terrified of losing her. He admits he loves her deeply, but fears the consequences. Just then, Grace arrives, tears streaming down her face. Jay watches as she cries, understanding her pain. She realizes Grace has been hurt by the person she loves. Overcome with emotion, Grace runs away, only to crash into Kefir. He chases after her, but Jay also following her. When she sees Kefir at the place, she stares intently, her mind racing. However, she keeps going, not wanting to let her emotions get the best of her. Denzel's girlfriend stands on the edge of a rooftop, ready to jump, while everyone desperately tries to stop her, especially Jay, who pleads with her not to do it. Kefir, noticing her hesitation, tells everyone to let her be, shocking Jay. In the end, Kefir is right. Denzel's girlfriend hesitates and falls straight into Denzel's arms, where he comforts her, promising never to leave. The moment is so touching that even the onlookers feel their loneliness. The next day at school, Yuri notices Jay looking troubled. Meanwhile, Felix is frustrated. His brother got into serious trouble because of Denzel, and he feels overlooked. Later, Jay finds him playing basketball in his secret spot, but when she cheers for him, he snaps, tired of everyone meddling. He later apologizes, admitting that he's just overwhelmed. Jay asks him to join the festival's basketball event, but he refuses because of his rivalry with Denzel. Tensions between Denzel and Felix worry the group, especially Yuri, who grows jealous of how close Jay and Felix are. Later, Jay stumbles upon CN and a friend at a mechanic shop where they joke about her and CN joining a festival costume contest. Their fun is cut short when a gang suddenly kidnaps Jay, revealing Ram as the mastermind. Ram sends a video taunting the group, allowing only 4 of them to come to her rescue. Yuri, enraged, smashes a chair, while Kefir tells him to save his energy for the fight. Kefir, CN, David, and Yuri head to the hideout. While waiting, Yuri questions Kefir about Jay, implying he has feelings for her. Kefir denies it, but it's obvious he's lying. When they arrive, they find Ram holding Jay hostage. A brawl erupts, with reinforcements arriving on both sides. Kefir fights his way to Jay but gets attacked. Ram mocks him for being weak, making Jay cry. Kefir reassures her, but Ram cruelly taunts them. Jay, enraged, frees herself and smashes Ram over the head. When he retaliates and slaps her, something inside her snaps. She overpowers Ram and beats him mercilessly. Once he's down, Kefir pulls her into his arms, comforting her. He wipes her tears and kisses her forehead, teasing, "I get jealous easily." As the others arrive, Yuri's expression darkens at the sight of them together. They rush Jay to the hospital, where Kefir stays by her side, waiting for her to wake up. Denzel's powerful uncle arrives and pulls Kefir aside for a private talk, while Eris sits next to Denzel, hoping she wakes up. The moment he touches her forehead, she stirs awake. Maybe those infamous eyebrows of his do have magic. But the first thing she asks for is Kefir. He enters just as Kurz's brother pulls him outside for another conversation. Inside, the guys gather around Denzel, relieved. CN, ever dramatic, cries and clings to her, but she rolls her eyes, telling him to stop. Meanwhile, Kurz's brother scolds him for standing by while she was kidnapped, while Kefir, the one who actually saved her, isn't even family. Before leaving, Denzel's uncle warns Kefir to take care of her. Then, Kurz is stunned to see Denzel's mother, his aunt, arrive. She hugs him, but he rejects her, asking why she's back after all these years. She tells him she came to check on her daughter and announce her upcoming marriage. Kurz scoffs, "Another one? How many more men do you need to go through?" She then asks if he's told Denzel the truth about their family secret. His expression darkens, but he says he's waiting for the right time. Clearly, whatever this secret is, it's serious. The next day, Denzel arrives at school feeling down, but her chaotic group of friends refuses to let her sulk. They bring her a cute dessert to cheer her up, and she smiles, until she tries to eat and realizes her hands are too sore. Yuri, ever opportunistic, offers to massage them and holds on way too long. He even jokes, "You know, my hands hurt too," still not letting go. The guys start talking about the festival again, suggesting that Denzel and CN should pair up for the costume contest. She also finds out they used to have a band, so she suggests they reunite for the singing competition. Just then, Kefir walks in, and he does not like what he sees. Yuri is still holding her hands. Kefir, clearly annoyed, says, "Denzel, come with me. I need to talk to you." Yuri looks disappointed, knowing exactly what's going on. Kefir takes Denzel to a hidden music room filled with photos, memories, and trophies. She's fascinated, but then she spots a picture of her uncle. Kefir explains that he was once the legendary leader of their section. Then he asks if she wants to add her own photo now that she's one of them. He laughs, and unfortunately, her heart does a little flip. She just stares at him for a second, then awkwardly thanks him. Back in class, absolute chaos erupts. The guys have thrown her a welcome back party, complete with music and dancing. Yuri is singing, the guys are wrapped in belts, dancing like maniacs. Has the school turned into a nightclub? Even worse, they actually look good. Denzel bursts into laughter, especially when CN starts singing. The real disaster strikes when Kefir joins in, throwing off his jacket and dancing while staring directly at her. And we all know what that means. Denzel, completely flustered, tells them, "You guys definitely have a future as backup dancers." The group then divides festival tasks, singing, cleaning, and dancing. Jay wonders how CN will compete in both the dance and costume contests, but the guys assure her it'll be fine. Then, they start pushing Yuri to enter the singing contest since he has the best voice. He says he'll think about it. Later, they ask Denzel who she'll go home with, Yuri or Kefir. Unwilling to pick either, she wisely decides to go alone. The next day, Denzel stops at a shop for ice cream when a man suddenly calls her name. He seems to know her, but she doesn't recognize him. He reveals that he was once married to her mother. He grabs her hand and apologizes for treating her badly when she was younger. He admits that after leaving her mother and starting a new family, guilt consumed him. The real problem? Denzel doesn't even remember him. Shaken, she pulls away and runs. Because this town is tiny, Yuri just happens to be driving by in his ridiculously expensive car. He pulls over and hugs her, trying to calm her down. She confesses that there are things about her past she doesn't remember. Yuri tells her that forgetting painful memories can be a blessing. She pulls away to wipe her tears, and then notices the tissue she's holding. It's the same one Kefir gave her when she was kidnapped. Despite everything she's been through, that moment remains fresh in her mind. Deep down, she knows why. It's because of him. As she's lost in thought, she glances up and sees Yuri's fiery red hair. "Girl, what are you doing? You're ignoring the blessing in front of you?" It looks like in the upcoming episodes, Denzel will drift closer to Kefir and further from Yuri. Jay is full of excitement at the festival, cheering louder than anyone. She enjoys her time until David and Calix show up to tease her, trying to take her food. She scolds them, reminding them they're rich enough to buy their own. Soon, they both leave, making Jay realize she's alone, feeling like a typical single person. To lift her mood, she buys ice cream and eyes a game she wants to play. Meanwhile, Kefir films her, annoying her at first, but then he notices she wants a teddy bear prize. He tries to win it for her, but embarrassingly fails. To make it up to her, he promises to win the upcoming music competition just for her. That night, Jay and Kefir share a security shift. She hums her favorite song, but when he asks about her mother, her mood shifts. She doesn't want to talk about her. Kefir, on the other hand, expresses the opposite sentiment. Suddenly, a classmate stumbles toward them, acting strangely. They approach him, but notice a creepy doll nearby, which sends them both screaming. Even Kefir, who tries to act fearless, bolts in terror. The next day, their school competes in a basketball match against a rival team. Their team struggles at first, but Jay, sitting between Yuri and Kefir, jokes about being lucky to be surrounded by handsome guys. When a foul is finally called, their team gets a chance to turn the game around. Jay notices Felix, eager to play, and convinces the coach to put him in. He enters the game, and in the final seconds, he scores the winning shot. The team celebrates, hoisting him up, while Jay enjoys the moment with her lucky charms, Kefir and Yuri. Later, in the dorm, the guys practice dancing for an upcoming performance, with CN visibly nervous. But the moment his crush, Rocky, arrives, he gathers his confidence and takes her out on a date. Jay watches, feeling the sting of being single again. Just then, her ex, Salim, approaches, asking for a favor, but she ignores him. Meanwhile, Felix thanks Jay for convincing the coach to let him play and invites her to a secret party hosted by the basketball captain. The next day, the dance competition kicks off. Their dorm's team delivers an impressive performance, but the festival's host, a notorious bully, initially hypes them up because they're classmates. However, when she learns their team name is Jay's Warriors, she mocks them, embarrassing Jay. It turns out Kefir and Zay chose the name. Jay is speechless, but with their team already on stage, she has no choice but to accept it. To everyone's surprise, the performance is a hit. The audience cheers, but the bully refuses to acknowledge their success. Still, their flawless execution leaves no doubt that they were among the best performers. The singing competition kicks off with Rocky impressing everyone with her beautiful voice, while Jay stands in the crowd holding hands with Denzel and another guy, because, of course, she's always in the middle of two men. When Reiki finishes, Jay searches for CN, annoyed that he left his girlfriend alone. Soon, it's Kefir's turn, and he stuns Jay by singing her favorite song, the one she told him about days ago. As she listens, memories of him flood her mind, and she has a shocking realization. She likes him. Kefir's performance is flawless, winning over both the judges and the audience. Afterward, Yuri casually tells Jay that Kefir chose the song for her. When Kefir himself appears, he smirks and asks for a "thank you," teasing her when she mumbles it shyly. Embarrassed, she makes an excuse and rushes off. That night, while on security duty with Yuri, Jay confesses that she's struggling with feelings for someone who has hurt her before. Yuri wisely tells her, "You can't stop your heart." She jokingly calls him an expert and asks if he's in love. He admits he is, but the girl he loves is completely oblivious. Jay, being blunt, tells him to move on, but Yuri refuses. "She's special," he says, and we all know exactly who he means. The next day, CN prepares for a competition while dressed as a girl, earning laughs from everyone. Meanwhile, Jay, dressed in men's clothing, gets a message from her ex's mother. Kefir, ever the nosy one, grabs her phone but respects her privacy enough to answer the call himself. Later, disaster strikes before Yuri's solo competition. Someone lost his music. The festival's bully enjoys his misfortune, but Yuri's crew saves the day by handing him a guitar. He delivers a breathtaking performance, singing a romantic song that has couples hugging everywhere. Kefir leans over to whisper to Jay, "He's singing for the girl he loves." Shocked and overwhelmed, Jay walks away, leaving Yuri disappointed. Outside, Jay finds Denzel's ex crying. She learns that although Denzel is taking care of her for their child's sake, he refuses to get back together with her, even though she still loves him. Unable to stay quiet, Jay confronts him in front of everyone, demanding to know why. Denzel, emotional, confesses he believes his ex will never forgive him, but she overhears and steps in, saying she does love him and will forgive him, if he comes back to her. They reconcile, leaving everyone feeling lonely and reflective. Jay, lost in her own emotions, finally responds to her ex's mother and decides to visit him in the hospital. When he wakes up, the first thing he asks about is her. But Jay doesn't remember what happened between them. When he desperately grabs her hand and begs her to stay, she panics and runs away. His sister follows, accusing Jay of being the reason for his suffering, leaving her even more confused. Back at school, CNA is furious at Jay for missing their competition, and Cookie scolds her for ignoring his calls. Overwhelmed, Jay snaps, saying she can't always be there for everyone. She locks herself in her room, feeling emotionally drained, but Yuri, ever the kind-hearted one, refuses to leave her alone. He sits beside her and teaches her how to play the guitar. As they sit close together, tension builds. Jay zones out, staring at him, and he leans in. The moment is intense, and it's clear where things are headed. But just then, Kefir appears, watching them, with a trophy in his hand. Their team won Best Band, and he was about to give the award to Jay, just like he promised. But now, he stands there, frozen, his eyes locked on the scene. Jay panics, realizing she might be cheating on him, at least emotionally. Torn between Yuri and Kefir, she grabs her bag and flees. Meanwhile, Yuri and Kefir exchange unreadable glances. A storm is brewing, and it's clear. This love triangle is about to explode. Jay finds herself in a strange place, completely disoriented with no idea what happened to her. Faint memories begin to surface. She recalls that Keiko, the scoundrel, was getting too close to her. The thought shocks her, especially when she realizes her own blood is boiling with anger. Fear creeps in. What if what she remembers is true? She grips her head tightly, pulling at her hair in frustration, trying to recall more details. Then it all starts coming back. After Yuri got close to her and Kefir saw them together, she had run away. The next day, she went with Felix to the party they had planned to attend. Felix was happy and grateful to her. Because of her, he had returned to playing basketball again. But as soon as they arrived, they felt uneasy. The people there looked strange, their behavior even stranger. Then Keiko appeared, welcoming them in as if the place was theirs. That's when they discovered that Keiko wasn't just a guest. He was the owner of the house and the host of the party. He was already drunk and barely in control of himself. As they entered, the scene was wild, chaotic, loud, completely out of hand. Jay tried to talk to someone, but she must have looked like a fool in the crowd. Keiko grabbed a mic, thanking Felix, saying he was the reason for their victory. The whole room erupted, gathering around Felix to celebrate and take pictures with him. Meanwhile, Jay was starving. She started looking for food and eventually found some. She noticed a group of Vietnamese people eating ramen and casually told them, "Pretend I'm not here," before stealing a plate and running off. As she moved through the party, she spotted Mika standing with a strange man. Furious, she stormed over. "You traitor! If Calix finds out, do you know what he'll do to you?" The strange man turned around, and to her shock, it was Calix himself, disguised with a fake mustache and wearing filthy clothes. He explained that he had to sneak in like this because the division had banned them from attending. If Kefir found out, he'd never let it slide, and besides, he couldn't stand Keiko. He advised Jay to stay for 30 more minutes, then take Felix and leave before things got out of control. She agreed, handing her food to Mika before heading to the bathroom. When she came out, she saw a sleazy guy trying to get too close to her. Before she could react, Keiko stepped in, stopping him. "No need to get upset," he told her smoothly. He then started talking to her in a way that seemed friendly, gradually luring her in until, before she realized it, she had taken a sip from the drink he handed her. Everything started spinning. Downstairs, she found Felix lying on the floor, beaten and barely conscious. "They tricked us," he muttered. "It was all a setup to trap us. You have to run." But before he could finish, Jay's vision blurred and she collapsed. She woke up in the present, unable to remember anything more. Frustrated and scared, she decided to leave the house. Everything was strangely tidy, no people, no noise. Then, suddenly, someone approached from behind, startling her. She turned to face a young man. There was something oddly familiar about him. He reminded her of Kefir. "You should check on his little brother," he told her, explaining that Calix and his friend were outside by the swimming pool. He suggested she go meet them. Stepping outside, she saw them all sitting around, enjoying themselves, except for Felix, who looked wrecked from last night's beating. Jay ran to check on him, and he told her that the group had actually saved them. Behind her, Yuri and Kefir appeared. Kefir, arms crossed, asked coldly, "Why did you go to that party last night?" "I don't remember," she admitted. "How did you even find us?" "Calix sent a message," he replied. "He couldn't find you, and he was worried. He has a soft heart, you know. So he gathered his men and came for them." Jay's anger flared. "All right, which one of you bastards changed my clothes?" she demanded. "And did you look at me?" Kefir smirked. "Relax, we didn't see anything special." He refused to explain further, clearly amused by her flustered reaction. Meanwhile, she stood there, caught between these handsome troublemakers, unable to decide who to glare at. "Take a seat, people. The way she's staring at them, you'd think she was about to eat them alive." The guys backed off and began recounting what had happened the night before. When they arrived at the party, they searched everywhere for Jay but couldn't find her. Then guards showed up and realized she was missing. He questioned Felix, who admitted that Keiko had taken her, but no one knew where Keiko had gone, except his friends. Gars didn't hesitate. He threatened them until they spilled the location. Then he told everyone else to stay back, because what was coming next was going to be a bloodbath. While his men carried Felix out, they started beating Keiko's crew into the ground. Once they were done, they rushed upstairs, only to find Gars already there, holding Keiko by the collar, punching him mercilessly. "That bastard was trying to touch her," Gars growled. He reassured the others that Jay was safe and stepped inside to dress her himself. Well, he is her cousin, after all. When they checked on her afterward, Gars advised them to take her away before things got worse. Kefir, ever the gentleman, carried her back to his place. And that's how she ended up here. Now, in the present, the group stood around her. Yuri smirked knowingly. "You like her, don't you?" He teased Kefir, trying to provoke him. Kefir rolled his eyes. "You're an idiot." Yuri pressed on. "You're too much of a coward to admit your feelings." He then suggested Kefir take Jay out of their plans before things got dangerous. But Kefir, stubborn as ever, refused to acknowledge his emotions. "I don't love her," he declared. "I'm sticking to my plan." His grip tightened around his cup, his frustration so intense that it cracked in his hand. Yuri fell silent for a moment, lost in thought. Back when he was on watch duty with Jay, she had asked him directly, "Do you like me? Do you have feelings for me?" He had sighed. "I can't lie to you. But I also can't confess, and I won't deny it either. I don't want to lose you." Jay had been left speechless. So what now? Are we just going to dance around this forever? But she decided to let it go. Now, Kefir was the one sulking, because instead of paying attention to him, Jay was fussing over Felix. Felix, feeling guilty, apologized to her for taking her to the party and causing all this trouble. Jay, ever the kind soul, forgave him. Just then, Kefir's little brother called them in for breakfast. Everyone went inside, except for Felix, who sat there, waiting for the doctor to check him out. "You really do look like crap," someone muttered. Before they go inside, Jay asks Yuri how Koki hurt his hand. He tells her that Koki got angry and smashed a glass, then warns her to stay away from Kefir's brother because he's even worse than Kefir himself. But in her mind, Jay thinks, no way, no one could be worse than that scoundrel. Just before dinner, Jay is surprised to see a little boy, Kefir's youngest brother. He's sharp and observant, immediately teasing Kefir. "Nice, you brought your girlfriend." It turns out this kid is just as cunning as his older brother, considering he's dating Yuri's little sister. Naturally, everyone starts roasting him. Isn't it a bit early for this stuff? Jay grows anxious, wanting to leave quickly because she knows her family must be worried by now. Koki reassures her that they already know where she is. Trying to lighten the mood, Yuri hands the little brother a phone. "Call my sister, she wants you," he jokes. "Didn't we already talk about this? You're too young for this nonsense." Then he turns to the others. "You guys are the real problem here, helping them out like this, you scoundrels." The next day at school, it's the last class of the term before vacation, and the school is giving them a send-off. Of course, the students, especially Jay, are celebrating. She asks Say if he actually managed to ace the exam, and he replies indifferently, "What do I care if I did or not?" Jay calls him a failure and insists there's no way he could have gotten a perfect score, so they make a deal. If he did ace it, she has to take him out for dinner, on her dime. Say refuses, so Jay raises the stakes. "Fine, I'll dye my hair." He reminds her that dyed hair is against school rules. "Oh, really? Then how come Yuri gets away with it?" she fires back. But Say reveals, that's his real hair. Jay is stunned. Then he makes another bet. "If I did ace the exam, you have to choose your favorite among us and kiss him in front of everyone." She agrees. That night, she attends a costume party for kids, and Say, ever the child at heart, is having the time of his life playing with them. At some point, Jay spots a boy who looks just like Kefir's little brother. Confused, she brushes it off until she turns around and sees the real one behind her. "What are you doing here?" he asks. Jay jokes around with him, but he coldly reminds her, "We're not that close." Then he snatches the candy from her hands, right as Koki enters. "Fill your pockets while you're at it. Didn't I teach you any better?" Koki taunts. The little brother shoots back, "You didn't raise me at all." Oh boy, family drama. Let's save this for home, Jay thinks. Eventually, Koki leaves and Say returns, having stolen candy from a little girl. This, of course, leads to trouble when her father confronts them. But the situation takes a weird turn when the man starts hitting on Jay, asking her out. Koki steps in, snapping, "Show some respect. Can't you see I'm standing right here?" The man scoffs. "Why? Are you her dad or something?" Koki smirks. "Worse, I'm her husband." The guy is so stunned that he bolts, completely forgetting whatever he was mad about. Meanwhile, Jay clutches her chest. Did I just hear that right? Koki then informs her that Kiko got expelled from school for the trouble he caused. I warned you to stay away from him, he adds. And from now on, I'm your husband. You have to listen to me. Jay is dumbfounded. Husband from which dimension exactly? Koki offers to take her somewhere quieter, away from all the noise. Later, when they return, he asks her to wait while he gets her a drink. Suddenly, a sleazy guy tries to hit on her, but before he can get close, a striking man with piercing blue eyes steps in and pushes him away. When the man introduces himself, Jay is startled. They have the same last name. He smiles. I know you must have a lot of questions, but save them for later. He takes her number before leaving. Koki returns, handing her the drink, and they sit together to watch the performances. One of the girls eyeing Koki makes Jay jealous, but she keeps her cool. No way am I letting it show. Meanwhile, Sei is off shamelessly flirting with other girls. Jay scoffs. If Reiki were here, she would have dragged him away by the collar. Irritated, she nudges Koki. If you want to dance, go ahead. You seem to like the attention. Before he can respond, one of the girls pulls him onto the dance floor. Jay huffs, standing to the side like an awkward mess. She dances a little, but it's completely uncoordinated, more like a random flailing mess. Yet to Koki, it's the most entertaining thing in the world. He walks over, grinning. You should dance with me instead. Just as they start getting into it, the music changes to a slow dance for couples. Koki leans in. May I have this dance? Jay hesitates, then nods. As they move, she places her hands on his shoulders. Wow, I think I've loved him for a really, really long time. He rests his hand on her waist, pulling her close. The moment intensifies, and she loses herself in it, eventually leaning against his shoulder. Then, out of nowhere, Koki tilts her chin up and kisses her on the forehead, and at that moment Jay realizes, I love him. Just as Koki starts leaning in closer, the screen fades to black. And to make things even worse, the next episode preview reminds us, oh right, Sei actually did ace the exam. Now he's going to hound Jay about their bet, to pick her favorite and kiss him in front of everyone. We see protagonists standing there, enjoying all the romance and butterflies, and from the look in their eyes, all the hopeless singles out there can definitely feel the sting. Then she heads home. And now begins the phase of silliness, or more accurately, the early crush awkwardness, where each one says a simple word and then gets shy about it. They even find excuses to stay standing together as long as possible. So when he tells her good night, she replies, you too. And our guy starts swooning, then leans in even closer, and boom, he kisses her on the forehead. Now hold on. What do you think this is? This is a respectable summary from a respectable lady. After what happened, she starts feeling confused about her emotions. When Kefir leaves, Kars comes out and yells at her for coming home late. She tells him, you're not my dad, don't talk to me like that. He lets it go and just tells her to come inside behind him. But she gets more upset because to this day, she still doesn't know who her father is. When she goes into her room, she finds a new message from Kefir checking up on her. She starts jumping on the bed from happiness and sends him a message back, thanking him and wishing him sweet dreams. A couple of seconds later, her hormones start kicking in and she tells herself, get it together, girl. Are you seriously getting soft? This isn't our vibe. Then she gets another message, this time from Yuri, who's checking in on her and asking if she has her vacation days planned, but she ignores him, doesn't even reply. I swear I'm about to throw a slipper at her. Who ignores a red-haired cutie like that? A little later, she gets a third message, and it's like, what is this? An episode from a show or what? The message tells her that they have to meet on Monday after school. Our girl is surprised, and when she asks why, she's told that he has information about her family and her brother. She's even more confused now and doesn't understand anything. The next day, she goes back to school and the results are supposed to be out and posted in the hallways. It's total chaos, and all the department sections are crowded together. Then one of the guys, a classmate, comes over acting all pitiful and asks to borrow some money. To make sure she listens, he starts flattering her. and it actually works. She agrees to bring him the money the next day. She tells him she needs to check her results first, just to be sure. But the other students are making a mess, so he tells her not to worry and yells at everyone to clear the way. Looks like the guys in that department are all confident and smooth. Anyway, our girl Jay is celebrating because she passed and got an 84.5, but then she remembers Sai Inu and their deal. She freaks out because he's the only one in the whole department who got a full 100. He comes up behind her, grabs her, and says, "Gotcha." She's confused, like, "How'd you do that, you slacker?" He tells her he's actually a genius, and when he's not feeling motivated, he struggles to study. But when he sets his mind to something, he reaches it. He reminds her not to forget their deal, then walks away. Enter Yuri, asking her why she didn't reply to his message. He's really upset. Since she doesn't have an answer, she does a see Inu move and runs away. When she gets to the classroom, she bumps into Kefir. She grabs her bag and tries to leave, still awkward about what happened the night before. But he stops her. Before he can say anything, she shushes him so no one finds out. When she spots Sai Inu, she uses him as an excuse and goes to talk to him. They speak quietly, very discreetly, because the rest of the students are now totally focused on them and eavesdropping like crazy. Then Sai Inu, being the big mouth that he is, blurts out their deal and tells everyone that Jay is supposed to kiss someone today. All the guys get hyped, and each one starts prepping himself. She screams, "My reputation! Are you kidding me?" and hits Sai Inu for causing all this. Then the guys agree that whoever she chooses will get dealt with by the rest, so each one tries to outshine the others, so she picks him. Our boys are standing quietly like, "Aren't we good enough for you or what?" Kefir shuts everyone up and tells them Jay will choose whoever she wants, and no one should pressure her. The most excited of all is Yuri, especially when she starts walking toward him. Kefir notices and gets jealous, but then she surprises them all. She goes to David and kisses him on the cheek, because he's the only one asleep and not involved in this drama at all. She promises him she'll explain later. The guys gather around David and give him a proper beatdown. Suddenly, she gets a message from Percy, asking her to meet him at the mall today, and not to tell anyone. She rushes over, but when she arrives, he calls her and says he can't meet her after all because she didn't follow the agreement and brought people with her. Of course, maximum privacy is needed, and he tells her that all the Talksome guys are watching her. She takes the opportunity to ask him if Felix's brother changed. He says yes. She's shocked because they all thought he was dead. He tells her it's a long story and he'll explain when they meet. Then she asks him again, "Are you my brother?" And he tells her, "Your brother has been by your side this whole time, but you just haven't realized it." She starts crying hard, clearly emotional. The guys jump in like, "Who's talking to you and upsetting you like this? We're going to find him and sort him out right now." She yells at them, telling them to stay out of her business and stop spying on her. She tells them she was here to meet Percy, but he didn't show up because of them. And of course, when they hear his name, everyone is stunned. They go back home and bring out the photos. Felix points to one of them and she confirms, "Yes, that's Percy." It becomes clear the guys are hiding something big. They finally agree to tell her now. We learned that back in the day, there was a crew made up of Yuri, Kefir, Cars, and Percy. One day, Percy decided they should all go out driving. They were all nervous because none of them really knew how to drive. After hanging out, Cars wanted to leave quickly because they had taken his brother's car without permission, but Percy insisted they stay a bit longer. On the way back, they got into a fight, and suddenly, they had a car crash. Yuri and Kefir managed to jump out of the car. The rest got thrown from it, and they managed to save Cars, but Percy was nowhere to be found. They thought he had died. Now, the guys suspect that Percy is back for revenge against Cars for what happened. That's why he's trying to get close to Jay. He might use her, so they beg her to stay away from him. Either way, they promise to protect her and won't let anyone hurt her. So Flexi yells at them because that's his brother, and Jay feels for him and reassures him that if he talks to her, she'll tell him. When she gets home, she's tense and overthinks everything until Percy calls her. She tells him she knows the truth and asks if he's using her to get back at Gars. He swears he's a decent guy and would never do that, and that soon she'll know the full truth. She ends up staying up all night, so the next day she falls asleep in class. Koki takes advantage and snaps a pic of her laughing. Suddenly, she wakes up and catches him, chasing him around to get the phone back. Since the guy's super tall, it's not easy. He keeps dodging her, while all the other guys laugh, except Yuri, who's clearly jealous. Eventually, she manages to grab the phone and deletes the story, but realizes there are other photos of her. She's visibly upset and jealous and wants to get away from him, so she grabs her bag and sits on the other side next to Yuri. Then Kefir says, "I'm always behind you," and sits next to her too like, "You're not escaping me." They stay like that, playing musical chairs until the teacher walks in. She ends up having to sit in the middle, but still nudges her chair toward Yuri, who uses the chance to get closer. Of course, Koki won't let them be, so he edges closer too. Where's the discipline, the morals, in this class? When the lesson starts, the teacher talks about a certain university, and all the students get excited, except Jay, who has no clue what's going on. Yuri explains that the school is arranging a visit to that university so students can get a feel for it, and if they like it, they can enroll. Anyone who wants to go has to fill out a form, so Jay takes one. Koki's asleep, so she tosses his paper on his hand. Clearly, she's not a fan. Sweet Yuri tells her to take advantage while he's asleep and get revenge. He hands her a pen, and she looks at Koki and says, "God made you this handsome, so you deserve this." She draws a horrible mustache on him. The class bursts into laughter. When he wakes up, everyone goes quiet. He asks Jay if she did something, and she says, "Of course not." But once he sees his clown face on the phone, he tells her, "I'm gonna get you." Yuri, the good guy, holds her in place so Kefir can draw on her too. She gets mad like, "Wow, so much for having my back." And Kefir draws her a ridiculous mustache too. Then he goes around to the rest of the laughing students. Meanwhile, Jay meets the guy she lent money to and hands it over. When she asks why he needs it, he says it's an emergency and swears he'll pay her back. He's not a thief. She replies, Yeah, you all say that. We'll see." When she gets home, she's shocked to see some classmates there. The bully, Mika and Ella. And of course, the bully starts picking on her until Gar steps in and yells at her like, "You're seriously gonna insult our girl?" Ella, the sweet little cutie, invites Jay to eat with them, but Jay, feeling jealous, refuses and says she's full. As soon as she turns around, though, she rushes to the table, because of course there's a plate of sweets waiting for her. While eating, she keeps staring at Ella, thinking how beautiful she is without fillers or Botox. She's stunning even when she cries. No wonder all the guys are going crazy over her. Jay feels she could never compete with that, and she's sure Kefir doesn't love her anymore. There's no way he moved on that fast. She's hurt and starts crying just as the maid walks in and asks if the food's that bad. Jay tries to cover it up by saying, "No, I'm crying because it's so delicious." The next day at school, she runs into Cyan, who asks if she's submitted the university form yet. She says not yet. Suddenly, she gets a call from an unknown number and assumes it's Percy. She's sure Cyan is a gossip, and if he finds out, he'll expose everything, so she walks away to answer. Turns out it's the guy she lent money to. Again, he says he needs more money because he's in big trouble. When she asks for his address, he says, "Kingsland." Yuri happens to walk by, and when he hears that name, he freezes. The bigger shock comes when he learns Jay wants to go there alone. He stops her and insists on going instead, but she refuses and says, "Nope, I'm going with you." When they get there, the guard at the entrance recognizes Yuri. Clearly, this place holds some secrets. They hand over their phones and go inside, where they meet a guy in a weird outfit nicknamed the Tiger. Turns out he owns the place and is surprised to see Yuri after so long. He says, "Good thing you brought your girl so she can see what's up," and starts chatting with Jay. She's scared, holding tight onto Yuri's arm, refusing to let go. We learn that the place is for gambling, and those who lose and owe money have to fight in fast-paced battles. Yuri asks about his friend's debt so he can pay and leave, but the Tiger refuses and says, "You know the rules. If you want to take him, you have to fight in his place." Jay begs him not to, but Yuri insists. He asks their friend to take her away and keep her safe because what's about to happen is serious. Jay follows him, and the Tiger leads them to a VIP area with food. The cold friend starts stuffing his face while Jay's upset, thinking about Yuri. She says, "I can't eat a bite until I know he's okay." The Tiger, being a smug jerk, tries to flirt with her, and she's not having it until he mentions he's an old friend of her cousin's and also knows Kefir. That piques her interest, and she starts eating like, "Okay then, spill the tea, don't leave me hanging." He tells her that Kefir and the gang used to hang out there all the time until he and Yuri got into a fight about a girl, and nobody came back after that. Since Jay loves gossip, she grabs the snacks to listen and enjoy. But her friend embarrasses her by saying, "Guess you're not really hungry, you're just scared for Yuri." She remembers Yuri is probably in the ring right now, so she runs off to see him. Meanwhile, Koki is sitting with his friends with tons of food, and he's saved some for her. When he calls her, her phone is off, and he gets worried. His friends notice and say, "Why do you care so much? Why are you so tense?" So he yells at them to cover things up and demands they find out where she is, since they've hacked her phone. He's shocked when he learns she's with the tiger. Meanwhile, Yuri is already up in the ring, and we find out his first time there was back when he fought Kefir over a girl. Yuri had held back and taken the fall from the very first hit just to let Kefir win, but this time he's not backing down. Now he's fired up for her, and with one move, he wins the match. Well, he's a badass husband after all. After that, he heads straight to Jay, who's a total mess, falling apart and deeply upset over him. She grabs the guy who caused all this drama and starts beating him up. When Yuri notices, he pulls the cold guy away by his shirt like, "Move, we need to talk." As soon as he walks away, he hugs Jay and reassures her that he's fine and won't fight again, for her. Then he tells her the same story the tiger mentioned and confirms that he doesn't love her anymore at all. They're about to leave, but the tiger stops them and lets them know there's still another round, this time against his ideal opponent. He's talking about Koki, who shows up at that exact moment. Koki snaps at the guy who brought them there and grabs Jay to take her away, but she stops him. She asks why he came after her and why he's so concerned. He tells her he's constantly worried when she's not near him, and that this is not the time or place for questions. They need to leave. The men try to block them, but come on, it's Kefir we're talking about. He takes them all down like a beast and makes a run for it, gripping her hand tightly. She notices that the guard at the gate is actually smiling as he watches them, and honestly, so are we. But Yuri, the only one not smiling, stands there alone, feeling like she's slipping away from him too. The next day, everyone gets together because they're going on a university visit. She's upset because she forged her dad's signature on the form. He didn't want her to go. Then she notices that Seekin is clueless and struggling with his tie, so she helps him. The other boys take the opportunity to beg her for help too, and our kind-hearted girl agrees. Yuri sees how she's doing it and tries to tie his own, but messes it up. Suddenly, she notices a kiss mark on one of her classmates' necks, and just before exposing him, he covers it and begs her not to say anything. Then she gets to Yuri, encourages him because he at least tried, but still ties it for him properly. Our girl is living her happiest moment, while Koki is jealous and deliberately ruins his tie, even though he got it right. Then the bus arrives and everyone rushes to get on, except for Koki. He asks her to tie his tie too, and she snaps, "What are you, a baby?" She tells him she saw him tying it fine earlier. He keeps provoking her until she's about to curse him out, but holds her tongue at the last second, so she ends up helping him. Suddenly, she decides to express her feelings for him and ties the knot super tight. Then she pins his ID badge on him and walks off. He follows her, grinning. When Jay gets to the university, she notices a professor with the same surname as her family. She feels like she's seen him before but can't quite remember. She's upset, and the guys get worried. Yuri asks if Percy contacted her again and made her upset, but she denies it. Then Seekin leaves her and goes to sit next to Ruki, my sweetheart. Flexi comes and tells her he got a sports scholarship at this university and thanks her because she was the reason. She celebrates with him, hugs him, and even makes him sit next to her, until Koki comes and moves him aside to sit next to her himself. As always, she's stuck in the middle. I swear she's living the dream. Imagine Yuri on the right and Koki on the left. Peak fantasy. After the conference ends, they leave and Jay sees that same professor again. She's certain now that she knows him. She opens her phone and scrolls through photos until she realizes he's her father. She runs to him. He recognizes her and hugs her, saying he's been waiting for this moment for so long. He asks for her forgiveness for everything he did. Seems like there's something we'll learn later because the director isn't revealing it yet. Then Karez shows up and pulls her away from him. He tells her father that he'll call the police if he comes near her again because there was a prior agreement between him and her uncle that her dad would stay away from her. Jay, of course, doesn't understand anything and just wants to go back to her dad, But Karez the ice cube holds her back. Koki gets mad, pushes him away to protect her, and the other guys gather around Jay to comfort her. When she gets home, she yells at her uncle and demands to know the reason they kept her father away. He tells her to wait until tomorrow because her mother is coming and will explain everything. She screams at him not to let her mom come because she can't stand to see her and runs upstairs. The next day, we find her at Koki's place because she needed someone to vent to and couldn't find anyone else. Like, seriously, where's Yuri? She's surprised at how luxurious the place is and asks whose house it is. He tells her it's his. It's his own house, not borrowed from anyone. He warns her to keep her eyes off it because it belongs to her future husband, and he doesn't like people touching it. She asks about his family, and he tells her his mom died and his jerk of a father immediately married another woman. Koki couldn't take it and kicked them out of the house. Normally it's the other way around, but it looks like Koki is tough and in control. That's why he asks what brought her here. When he feels like she's avoiding the question, he suggests they play truth or dare, starting a round of questions. Whoever doesn't answer gets something drawn on their face. It starts with Koki asking her about her mom, and she tells him she can't stand her and doesn't want to go back to her at all. When it's her turn, she asks him if he could ever make up with Garz in the future. When he stays quiet, she's pleased and draws a mustache on him like last time. Then she asks him about the story behind his earring. He tells her it belonged to his mother, and when Percy died, he was feeling down and went into her room by chance, found it, put it on, and felt like she was still with him, comforting him. When it's his turn again, he asks her about her dad. She tells him she never really got to spend time with him, so he advises her to be careful because he might look nice on the outside, but be evil inside, just like his own dad. He insists all men are Mustafa with a stone heart, and she jokes, "Aren't you one of them?" The questions keep going until their faces are full of doodles. Then Jay asks him about his first love, and we're all shocked when he says it was the bully girl. Our girl is stunned like, "What? How?" He explains that she used to be kind before she changed. She keeps pressing him to find out where the second earring is, and he tells her he gave it to someone. She guesses it's Lila. After that, Koki asks her what she thinks of Yuri. She says he's sweet and treats her kindly, and his presence makes her feel special. Then he asks her what she thinks of him personally, and she says, "You really want me to curse you, huh?" He's thrilled and laughs because now he can go through with the punishment he'd promised. He leans in close, and you know what happens. Our girl seems like she's about to slap him, but she doesn't. The next day, she's lost in thought about what happened between them. Suddenly, Koki's brother shows up, beating up one of her classmates for getting too close to his girlfriend. She asks the guys to break it up, but no one does, until Yuri arrives and hits Koki's brother. Koki, of course, can't let that go and punches Yuri, knocking him down. Jay runs to help Yuri and yells at Koki, saying he and his brother are both in the wrong. Koki gets mad too and yells back, realizing she's just like Yuri. That switch up though, they were just all lovey-dovey yesterday. Later, they all sit down to eat, and Yuri thanks Jay for standing up for him. Sion tries to calm things down and tells her Koki is actually a good guy and probably feels bad and will come to apologize. And sure enough, Koki shows up, tells the restaurant owner that he's paying for everyone's food. "Yes, my man, spend it all so I don't find you broke later," and we end up begging together. Then he goes to Yuri and apologizes. The shocker is that Yuri forgives him just like that. Jay is still upset, but Koki tells her he's got connections and will help her reach her father quickly. She tells him, "In that case, you're forgiven, like I could ever stay mad at you." That night, her family is gathered, clearly stressed because they're about to go bankrupt. Her aunt is upset and starts crying when Jay walks in, but they try to keep it under control and tell her everything's fine, then send her away. Her granduncle says the only way to fix the situation is to partner with Yuri's grandfather's company. Everyone is shocked by this suggestion and suspects he might sacrifice Jay and arrange her engagement to Yuri just to secure the deal. That's my personal theory. I hope I'm right or wrong. Whatever. I just want drama. The next day at school, Yuri invites her out to thank her for what she did the day before. Of course she agrees. Who could say no to that red-haired dreamboat? The following day, they meet up. Unfortunately, Jay is totally distracted and not really paying attention to him. He asks what's on her mind, but she dodges the question. He gets upset and tells her, "So you don't trust me enough to talk to me?" She tries to smooth things over and tells him she doesn't want to burden him with silly stuff. She grabs his face, noticing how red it is from being upset, and says, "Your hair wasn't enough? You look like a tomato now." She teases him and almost starts singing, "I'm the red tomato," while he's just frozen, heart racing. But then Koki shows up at that very moment and pulls her away, saying it's about her father. Yuri also grabs her hand, and all of us watching are like, "Can we please get just a quarter of Jay's luck? No complaints ever again." Koki tells her it's about her dad, and she agrees to go with him. Yuri tells her he'll wait for her right there. When they arrive at the university, she asks one of the professors about her father, but the woman refuses to give any info due to confidentiality and tells her he's already traveled and there's no way to catch him now. Jay starts crying, feeling like fate is against her. Koki hugs her, kisses her forehead, and tells her he'll always be by her side. She calms down and returns to Yuri, and we see that everyone in the cafe has left, except Yuri, who's still waiting for her. What a man. He gives her the flower and takes out the ring, which, by the way, is red too, and tells her he can't hide his feelings anymore. Everything's out in the open now, and the choice is hers. He leaves. Jay sits down, thinking it over, totally unsure what to do. We see Jai receiving the ring from Yuri and returning home, staying torn, should she accept or refuse, until her aunt walks in. Of course, she respects privacy, but when she spots the ring, she asks her who brought it. Jai tells her, and her aunt says the guy must really love her and wants to marry her. She even checks the ring size and it fits her finger perfectly. Her aunt advises her to think carefully and not rush. A little later, she brings her the phone so she can call her mother. Her mother tells her she's getting married again and wants her to attend the wedding. Jai naturally gets upset and yells at her because her mom never checked in on her and didn't even tell her that her dad had been around and wanted to see her. Jai hangs up and refuses to continue the call, clearly upset. The next day, she asks the maid if her room has been cleaned, saying something is missing. And just her luck, Erds is standing there holding the ring box. He asks her if she's looking for that. He wants to know who gave it to her, and when she says Yuri, he gets angry. He tells her that her dad is back from his trip and that he has his address and phone number. He makes a deal with her. She has to reject Yuri, stay away from her friends in Section A, and transfer to Section E. The next day at school, she finds the guys preparing for the New Year's party. The school is hosting the event at a hotel, but they're all outsiders and weren't invited. The boys decide they won't stay quiet. They'll celebrate at school and decorate their classroom. Jai gets a bit down when she sees the name Ella still on the locker, so Kefir grabs a sticker and covers it up, basically saying, "Whatever you need, I got you, girl," but in his own way. Later, he helps one of his short friends who needs to hang something high up on the tree. Tall guys are necessary, folks. That's why Yuri teases Gila for being short and not able to hang decorations, so he lifts her up and hangs it himself, while she just stands frozen and flustered. One of his friends pulls him away, and Jai looks around at her classmates and realizes that they really are like her family. She gets emotional and starts crying. Kefir sees her and asks what's wrong. She claims something got in her eye. He says she's lying and tells her if she's afraid of anything not to worry, he'll always be by her side. That comforts her. Next is the dance and music competition. Sian, Denzel, and Calix go up and want Jai to join them. They take a break to eat, and Flex tells Jai that Yuri is sitting alone, upset. So she goes over and tries to cheer him up. She even invites him to eat with her, but he refuses. He's happy, though, when she says she liked the ring. They sit and joke around together until Kefir walks in and sees them. He gets jealous and the smiles vanish. Then there's a whole drama over one big chicken that's gone missing. The guys are baffled. No one saw it or even got a whiff. Everyone starts blaming each other until Jai decides to check everyone's plates. She realizes no one has it. So she says, "Wait, where's Sheehan?" Turns out he's under the table, eating the chicken. He laughs and says, "Sorry guys, I was tempted by her delicious thighs." Jai tells him, "Don't worry, eat up, sweetheart. You're still growing." At that moment, someone from their group brings in an even bigger chicken, and they all get ready to eat. Later, David gives Jai a gift. It's a necklace with her initial. When she thanks him, he tells her he didn't buy it. He just found it outside, and it had her name on it. We then find out Percy was the one who got it and asked David to give it to her. For some reason we'll find out later. Then they play music and start dancing. Sian pulls Jai to dance with them, and they even start teaching her some moves. She begs Kefir to come dance with her, but he refuses because he's enjoying just watching her. Then Yuri gets up to sing, and it's a romantic song. He keeps looking at Jai the whole time, which makes our guy Kefir jealous. Jai notices and keeps glancing at Kefir, which upsets Yuri. He's like, "I'm doing all this for you," and he refuses to finish the song. After that, the next round of competitions begins. The organizers ask the audience to bring specific items. The first person to bring them wins a prize. The first item is chocolate. Kalex grabs Mika and says, "Here's my chocolate." And unfortunately, the cringe level is high, but they win. Sion and Jai just let them pass. Then they ask for sweets, and Kefir carries Jai and runs with her, saying, "Here, sweet and sugary." Jai gets super embarrassed, and to make it worse, the prize he gives her is a packet of instant noodles. She yells at him, but sweet Yuri calms her down and sits her next to him. Then they ask everyone to bring what they love most. Yuri picks up Jai and runs with her again. Kalex, too, carries Mika. The event hosts are clearly weirded out, like, is Jai the only one everyone's lifting or what? Suddenly, in a moment of silence, Yuri confesses his love for her in front of everyone. Jai gets shy and runs to sit next to Sion. Next comes the gift exchange segment. Honestly, the gifts are just sad, like a set of hangers, a ladle, a mini grater. The best gift goes to Mika because Flex gave her lipstick, applied it for her, and asked her to kiss his cheek. She leaves a mark on him. The second best gift goes to Kefir, a pair of shorts that Jai bought for him. Everyone laughs because they match what he's already wearing. Unfortunately, Jai's gift is awful. She thinks Kefir got it for her, but it turns out that jerk Sion was behind it. She runs after him and beats him up. When she comes back, she sees the group all gathered together, and it hits her that they really are her family. She gets emotional and starts crying. Kefir notices and says, "Let me guess, something got in your eye again?" She tells him she's just happy. He says, "May God make you even happier," and invites her to rejoin the celebration. We see the recap of everything that has happened since the start of the season. JJ's journey in the department, starting with her entry into school, her growing closeness with Kefir and Yuri, the adventures they shared, and how she eventually fell in love with Kefir. Meanwhile, Yuri, who also loved her, confessed his feelings, leaving her confused about who she truly loved. She was getting closer to Kefir, but tension arose when rumors of bankruptcy surfaced, forcing them into a partnership with Yuri's family. Things escalated when Yuri publicly confessed his love to her during a Christmas party, shocking everyone, especially Kefir. In episode 16, JJ wakes up at home, still groggy and disoriented. She remembers celebrating the night before, but most of it is a blur. All she recalls is that the party was at home. Some guests left early while others stayed behind. They had been drinking heavily downstairs. Yuri was feeling down, but everyone was enjoying themselves, especially JJ, who was laughing and bonding with them. As memories slowly return, JJ becomes embarrassed. She realizes something important may have happened, but can't remember it clearly. She recalls sitting and eating with Say and Felix before others joined in for drinks. Yuri stayed focused on her, looking sad and distant, unsure of how to approach her because of his feelings. As the night went on, she kept drinking, surprising everyone. Though she initially refused to drink, the others encouraged her, and she eventually drank instead of Yuri. Even though she wasn't enjoying it, she wanted his attention. Yuri became more drawn to her, but JJ got increasingly drunk, barely able to walk. Eventually, everyone went to sleep after a wild night. Hungry, JJ got up to look for food. That's when Yuri approached her and talked about his confession at the party. He told her she looked beautiful, even when upset. She denied everything and thought he was drunk, but he believed she was avoiding him because she was attracted to him and didn't want to admit it. He insisted he was serious about his feelings. Then he knelt down, held her hand, and asked her to be with him. He was trying to control his emotions, but he desperately wanted her love in return. This shocked JJ, and she instinctively pulled away. But he held her hand again and asked, seriously, this time, if she would marry him. JJ was stunned. She didn't expect the conversation to escalate into a marriage proposal. He wasn't seeing her as just a friend anymore. He wanted her to be his wife. She assumed he was drunk, but he assured her he was sober and serious about wanting to be with her forever. JJ told him she was overwhelmed and couldn't give him an answer right now. They were still too young. How could he talk about marriage? Yuri walked away, heartbroken. JJ stood in shock, replaying everything in her mind. She remembered seeing Yuri and Kefir talking the night before, upset with one another. She wondered how that conversation might be connected to the proposal. Later, she went downstairs and found that her grandmother had come to visit. The family welcomed her warmly. Then Sakan arrived unexpectedly, and JJ was surprised but happy. He seemed kind and gentle. When someone suggested they were in a relationship, he denied it, but JJ quickly shut him up, especially since everyone, including Angelo, was watching closely. Angelo wasn't pleased with what was going on. He believed JJ should be focused on school, not relationships. He cared about her deeply and tried to take her aside. Meanwhile, Sei grew close to JJ's grandmother, who adored him. Angelo later confided in his sister, expressing guilt for being harsh on JJ, but he also wanted to know who gave her the ring she was wearing. She didn't want him or anyone else interfering. Despite everything, the partnership between their families was moving forward to avoid bankruptcy. JJ served juice to her grandmother, who remained fond of Sei. Christmas preparations continue. They all gather, and Kefir's grandmother begins handing out gifts. JJ joins them and notices I, who seems happy to be included. But JJ receives a message from Kate, thanking her for standing by him and congratulating them on Christmas. C cheers everyone up, and Keelix also sends his Christmas greetings, making JJ feel genuinely happy to be surrounded by warmth and kindness. Then suddenly, Yuri sends her a simple, "Merry Christmas" message. Unlike the others, he doesn't say much or joke with her. She's disappointed. She had been waiting for something more heartfelt. Still, his message makes her smile. Meanwhile, Yuri eats with his family, quietly reflecting on everything. Then it's time to open presents. Everyone receives thoughtful gifts and celebrates joyfully. But when JJ opens hers, she finds a white dress, stunning but shocking. She doesn't know what to think, and the others worry about how she'll react, knowing she's still young. A week passes without JJ showing up. Her aunt and grandmother prepare to visit her, but JJ appears wearing the tight white dress, feeling uncomfortable. Angelo senses something's wrong and acts more nervous than usual. JJ doesn't understand why. As New Year's Eve begins, especially the celebration in Fendi, Yuri predicts she'll be there. The party begins, and everyone meets Yuri's family. JJ is introduced to them all and tries to enjoy herself. She sits down and finds Kefir nearby. Recognizing him instantly, she lights up until he speaks coldly, clearly affected by recent events. She goes to get a drink just as the party welcomes a singer to perform. The song is one that touches JJ's heart, reminding her of a moment Kefir sang it to her. She realizes he understands her like no one else. She tells Yuri, then leaves, overwhelmed. Yuri follows her and proposes again, this time in front of everyone. JJ is shocked. He had just returned from Japan, and now he's asking her to dance. Their dance is graceful, yet the atmosphere is tense. Everyone is watching. Kefir stands to the side, heartbroken. As JJ and Yuri continue dancing, emotions mix, joy and sadness. Kefir knows he's losing her, again. Yuri drinks to drown his feelings, and JJ tries to pretend everything is fine. When the dance ends, they welcome the new year and celebrate Yuri's birthday. JJ goes on stage and sings him a birthday song. Kefir watches, devastated. Soon after, the truth comes out. Both families are entering a partnership, and JJ and Yuri are now considered a couple. The celebration continues, but JJ feels blindsided and betrayed. Kefir is shocked. Yuri can't explain. JJ is forced to go with the doctor, her family deeply upset. They believe Yuri took advantage of her vulnerability. Kefir and JJ are both hurt. Yuri, however, is happy. He finally has the girl he's loved for so long. JJ tries to keep up appearances, but she sees through it. She realizes her family and friends all knew about the engagement, even Kefir. Feeling abandoned, she leaves the party in tears, not sure if it's a dream or reality. How could a marriage be arranged without her knowing? Angelo finds her crying. He admits he wanted to explain but never got the chance. He regrets it deeply. They had no other option. Her family's survival depended on this partnership. JJ is in shock. Angelo, of all people, should have known better than to make decisions for her. She says she made many mistakes trying to fix things, but how could they force her into marriage? She's still young. She wants to study, work, and live her life. They insist the marriage isn't happening immediately. They'll just get to know each other. Still, the ring on her finger feels like a trap. Her aunt sympathizes with her, knowing she never wanted this, but everyone else seems to think this is best for her. People say it's just an engagement, not a big deal, but JJ doesn't feel that way. Don't blame Angelo, they say. The company was collapsing, and this was the only way. Kefir knows everything now, and deep down, he realizes he doesn't want to let JJ go like he did before, but staying might destroy his relationship with both Yuri and Now. So he chooses to step back from the battle. Still, when their song is played, it breaks him. He admits to himself that he was always afraid of becoming like his father, cold and hurtful. But what he didn't expect was to love with the same depth and recklessness as his mother, hiding it behind a mask. No matter what, he can't walk away from JJ again. Determined, he confronts her directly. JJ is caught off guard and tries to walk away, but he follows and asks her plainly, "Do you love Yuri?" She doesn't have an answer. She's overwhelmed, torn, and silent. So Kefir gives her a choice: answer me or kiss me. Still, she stays quiet. She only cries. And in that painful silence, Kefir kisses her. It might be goodbye, or something more. She pushes him away, furious and confused. She curses him, not understanding how he can behave this way in such chaos, but Kefir only kisses her again, deeply. Neither of them can hold back their tears until, ding, the elevator opens and strangers walk in. The moment is shattered. They quickly move apart, pretending to be distant, though everything between them still burns. JJ thinks of her family who always protected her. Kefir is haunted by his secret. They're lost in their own minds, in everything that led them here. JJ walks away, leaving Kefir behind, crying in silence. Just then, Yuri arrives and gently invites her to come with him. Everyone's waiting. She agrees, dazed, and follows him. He takes her to the rooftop, where she's surprised by how beautiful the setting is. He encourages her to smile, to laugh, to enjoy this moment. They walk together, and she's introduced to the Hanichi family because she agreed to Yuri's proposal. They toast with drinks, smiling, but inside, JJ is uneasy. She excuses herself to go to the bathroom, but Kefir intercepts her. He pulls her aside again. JJ is confused. Why is he doing this now? Kefir, too, is lost. He insists he's no longer trying to control her, but confesses he's terrified that she'll marry someone else when she still has feelings for him. He sees it in her eyes. She's scared of marriage because her heart belongs to someone else. Kefir lays it all out. "I love you, and I'm not hiding it anymore." JJ is stunned. The fireworks show begins, but Kefir has one more confession, something he's held in for too long. She looks into his eyes, then suddenly pulls him into a kiss, right in the middle of the bursting sky. Kefir is overwhelmed. He kisses her back, harder, deeper. Their love burns brighter than it ever has. They're completely wrapped in each other. But then their families arrive. Amori notices her son looking heartbroken, alone, waiting for someone who might never return. Meanwhile, JJ stays in Kefir's arms, and they cry together, this time from happiness. Even without Yuri, even without explanations, JJ knows where her heart truly belongs. And Kefir, he doesn't stop her. He doesn't hold back. They stay together through the night as the celebrations unfold, while Yuri, in silence, watches his dreams fall apart. This is how Season 1 ends. Will JJ stay with Kefir? Or will she choose Yuri and the expectations of her family? So don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell icon. You won't want to miss what happens next.